Hey guys, what's going on? This is John Fears. Welcome back to Fearsman26, the main man, the main host. I got my mug, ready to go, rocking for another interview. Today, guys, very special guest. Not only is he a film historian, but my friend, Brian, and we're going to talk about movies in general, but mainly we're going to talk about Brian's favorite movie, my favorite movie, Wizard of Oz. All right, here we go. Let me introduce Brian. Brian, what's going on? How you been?
Pretty good. How are you? Thanks for
having me. Good. Good to see you, my friend.
You too.
This interview has been a long time coming. Brian's busy. I'm busy, but we finally got it together. How you been?
Very good. Feeling good.
So, welcome everybody in the chat. So we're going to take some questions. So I've prepared some questions, and then we're going to take some questions from the fans whenever they have a question, and then through the middle of the interview, I like to do just sporadic questions where I just make one up and then you make one up for me. But I'm going to do my planned questions first. So, yeah. So, first of all, welcome. How does it feel to be on the show finally and not just be an interviewer?
It feels pretty good. I mean, it's taken us a couple of years, I think.
I know.
It's taken a long time.
But it's pretty cool. So, because we've been friends for how long now? It's been a while.
Yeah, I think like 2 years, 3 years.
At least 3 years. So yeah. So let's start with that. How did we become friends?
Through the beauty that is Instagram, but you posted something that was like Oz related. I forget what it actually was.
It was I believe how it started because you started watching my channel after we met on Instagram. But basically, I've met a lot of people through posts. Like that's how I met Steph Toomey. Through Instagram, the Dorothy girl. So I didn't repost what she posts, but I basically went on like a month of just like liking everything that she posted, liking everything that where she works, the Land of Oz.
Yeah.
And I messaged Land of Oz and said, okay, I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I love your Wizard of Oz Yellow Brick Road. I'm like, can I just take one pic and like re-put it on my Instagram? And they're like, go nuts. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. And they said, spread the word. I was like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
They are so awesome.
I reposted the Yellow Brick Road and then you commented on it. And then we just started talking and I was like, oh, you love Wizard of Oz, and you're like, no, you have no idea. It's beyond love.
Oh yeah.
And I went, oh, really? I'm like, well, how much do you love it? And then that's when the friendship started.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I've got posters, I've got movies, I've got this, I've got that.
I have the flying monkey tattooed on my neck. So.
And I remember when you showed me that the first time, I was like, no way, dude. And you're like, oh yeah, it's right here, Fierce. And I was like, okay, that's dedication, my friend.
Oh yeah.
And so when did you get that? I remember you told me, but I can't remember when you got it.
Pretty recent. It was a couple of weeks ago, so it's still not done. But we got it going. We got his little crystal ball there.
But I remember the initial, like you showing it to me, and I think like it was still wet. I think you still had the bandage on it, and you're like, hey, Fierce, check this out. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, when did you get that? And you're like, oh, a few days ago. But that's when you initially showed it to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's fandom.
Yeah, I was like, dude, it blows me out of the water. So yeah, man. So the next question is like the actual like first point you actually saw it.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. The first time I remember seeing it.
Yeah, I was asking, do you remember the first time you saw the Wizard of Oz?
I do. I was definitely at my friend's house when I was like super young. Like one of my earliest memories, I was probably like 5 or 6 or something. I remember being little. And my first reaction was that I've never seen anything that like looked like it before, and it also scared me a ton. I was very afraid of it.
It is a little scary when you first watch it the first time.
Totally, especially like the Wicked Witch of the West, who's now my favorite character. But
yeah,
seeing it when I was little, I just like couldn't handle how scary it was. But I was also so intrigued by how much it like made me feel and how like magical it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like going back and forth being like, it scares me, but I still want to keep watching. But I was definitely very, very young, and it started a obsession pretty right away.
Because you're older than me, right?
37?
Oh no, I'm older than you. So yeah, I saw it for you. So I saw it when I was like probably 5 or 6, and I remember exactly where I did. I remember my mom had to work a lot, my dad had to work, and my grandma wasn't available to watch me and my brother. So my mom called my uncle and said, "Hey, do you mind if John's brother and me like stay at your house for like 2 days?" Like, because they wanted to work, and then my mom and dad had worked so much they wanted to like go on a weekend like trip. And so I had never seen it before. My uncle was like, "Hey, have you guys ever seen The Wizard of Oz?" I had no idea what he was talking about. Nice. And I was like, sure, I'll watch it. And my uncle popped it in, and by God, the love of Oz started.
It's crazy how much still today, how it just like captures kids' attention still.
I mean, it still holds up. It still holds up.
Absolutely, 100%. So
I'm gonna answer some stuff from the fans. Larry says my suit and tie is on. Way to go, Larry. Is this the dude? Yeah, this is Brian. This is the film story. We got our mugs. Brian, show up your mug. We got our coffee rocking. He's got his up. I got my Fearsman26 mug. Oh yeah.
I picked the up one because it felt very Oz adjacent with the house getting taken to a magical land.
See, Brian, you are a smart guy, and Brian's on it. Pixel says, "Howdy, Brian." Let me catch up with the chat here. Larry says 1974. Oh no, Larry, it was made way before 1974, my friend. 1939. And it's so weird. Not many movies back then were like. I think they were just getting into color, right, Brian?
Yeah, it wasn't the first one, but I know it was the biggest.
Yeah,
of the first.
And I always thought when I was a kid that they didn't do the black and white on purpose. They actually did it on purpose because Kansas is supposed to be old and tired and boring. Then when they get to the land of Oz, everything's magical, you know?
I always think about how amazing it must have been to be in the theater and not know that it was going to change to color because you had no idea at that time.
You had no
people away,
no clue. And I guarantee you, people were watching and they're like, wait a minute, is something wrong with the film? And they're like, oh, this is part of the movie. Okay, so yeah. So Brian, I was telling everybody like you are like a film historian, but like I wanted to ask I forgot what you do. You work as a communications or travel?
I'm a graphic designer for a travel company, so I do like catalogs and that kind of thing.
So you design the travel catalogs.
Yep.
So yeah, because all my fans were asking like, what does he do? And I said, everybody. Larry, he's a big fan. He was trying to get like tidbits of our interview. I'm like, no. I'm not going to reveal anything until we actually do it tomorrow. Come on, Fears. Come on. I'm like, no, you guys are not going to get anything out of my friend Brian until tomorrow. So, yeah. So I said, I gave Larry this. I said, he's a film historian when it comes to certain movies. But I said, beyond that, I said, I couldn't remember. I said, I thought it was communications. That's not right. I'm sorry. I knew it had something to do with travel. I knew I was close. I was like, it has something to do with travel. But and you had told me before, but yeah. But that's what I love about Instagram because besides your friendship, I've made like me and Steph are like really good friends now. I met her through Instagram, and then a guy that loves Ghostbusters. I'm gonna have him on the show here in a couple of months. And he said, Fears, I can't do an interview until like 3 or 4 months down the road because he's so busy. He actually built his own Ghostbuster car. And I was like, dude, I've got to have you on the show. I said, can you pan a shot of it? And he's like, I can get you in there, Fears. And I was like, oh God. I'm like, all right. So yeah, so that's coming too. Larry says Steph was so hot. I mean, I have to agree. Anyway, so next question, Brian. So after you saw it and it left a big impression on you, why did it leave a big impression on you? I'm reading from my list of prepared questions.
Yeah. Did you say why did it leave a big
why did it leave a big impression?
It was like unlike any other movie that I'd ever seen, and for it to like not be a horror movie but scare me the way it did just left me like thinking about it a ton. And obviously it's not really supposed to be scary, and most of it isn't scary, but the things that did
scary
scare me,
moments, though. I mean, and there's also scary moments. Have you ever read the book?
Oh yeah. I not at that point when I was younger. It wasn't.
When I read the book, there is scary moments in the very first book. I know there's a lot of books, but I'm talking about the very first book.
Yeah,
and
it's really dark.
Yeah, my mom bought it for me. I don't know, when I was 8 or 9, and I read it. I know I read it before middle school, and I was like, the flying monkeys were scary. Like when I was a kid, and I was like, dude, this is supposed to be a children's book. What the heck is going on? So
it was that way. It made me feel the first time that I like kind of couldn't stop thinking about it, and then I had since become a huge horror fan. So I like became obsessed with the Wicked Witch specifically and the Flying Monkeys just because of how effortlessly scary they are. It's so
that's another reason why my friends too. Like when I started spitting out like horror, I'm a film historian when it comes to horror. You're like, Fierce, you know a lot about Halloween. I was like, I do. So that's another reason why we're friends, buddy. But yeah, man. So it left a big impression on me, probably for a few reasons. One, how I saw it like with my family. It's supposed to be a family movie. So I was like, oh, wow, this is a movie that I can watch with my family. Two, like the sets were amazing. The costumes were amazing. I had never seen anything like that either. So I agree with Brian, you guys. I was like, this movie's phenomenal.
And for how old it is, it coming out in the 30s, some of those special effects, obviously they had to make everything. They still hold up. It's crazy what they did.
The only thing I wish they would have done is in Return to Oz, they actually made the Yellow Brick Road out of bricks. The original one they did not make out of it. They just took like, I think it was like plywood and like painted to make it look like it was bricks.
Yeah.
So I'm nitpicking at this point, but it's been cool to have an actual yellow brick road. But
I'm sure that for how much they actually walked on it and danced on it, I'm sure that would have been a nightmare to actually work with. I'm sure
that thin piece of plywood broke a couple of times and they had to fix it. Because they're running, they're jumping, they're dancing, they're doing twirls and stuff, and they even cut that scene out of the movie, the scarecrow twirl dance.
Oh yeah, the extended dance. That is
you can find the whole thing on YouTube. I've seen it
plenty of times.
I've seen it. Yeah, Brian. Someone sent me a link a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, Fears, you know how like the Scarecrow's your favorite character?" And I went, "Yeah." And they said, I had no idea that it was a full extended thing, right?
Yeah.
So my friend's like, hey, John, let me blow your mind. He sent me the link, Brian, like 2-3 years ago. And at first I thought you were going to send it to me, but my other friend is a big, so he beat you to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm watching it, and I'm like, why didn't they put this in the film? So they kind of put it in the film, but it was like shortened. So like instead of 5 minutes, I think it's like 1 minute of dancing in it, right?
Yeah, I could have used that whole thing. I love the extended one. And the jitterbug scene too? Did we talk about that?
Yeah, the jitterbug thing is it before they go into the castle or like when they're coming out?
It's while they're in the forest when they're on their way to the castle.
The forest, that's right. So
if you get like any of the special edition soundtracks, the recording of them singing the song is still on it. It's awesome. I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And there's like the only thing that exists film-wise is there's home movies of them practicing it on the set. They're pretty low quality, but you can at least get
them. I think you obviously you've got the Blu-ray of it, right?
Of course.
The movie, it's on the Blu-ray.
The home movies are.
The home movies, and I don't know about the entire jitterbug sequence, but they have a portion of like old footage, whoever filmed that. I remember seeing that on the Blu-ray. So yeah,
it's so good. I would have loved to see it as a full cut scene. Like I don't even think they actually did film it like for the movie. So
yeah,
I get why they cut it out. It like kind of undercut how scary the forest is, but it's so good. I would have loved to see it.
Yeah. So I have more than one favorite scene, but if you had to pick one favorite scene, go.
Okay. Best one I think is when Dorothy is kidnapped in the witch's castle, when she tries to steal the ruby slippers. It's so tense. It's so well acted. It's just such a like pivotal moment in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And, like
now we're talking about the whole scene, like even like when they rescue her and they're like,
the rescue is amazing too. But I remember just specifically the part before
because the rescue goes in is like the next scene. Like the rescue like, we got to get her out. Like, open the door. And then, like, she's like, hurry, the hourglass is almost empty. And then the Tin Man, like, you know, chops it and stuff. So,
it's so good.
That's a long scene. I mean, it goes on. It goes on for, I think, 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Around that.
More so specifically the head-to-head with Dorothy versus the Wicked Witch.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, they're neck and neck. They're neck and neck. Like, she's here. They're in each other's face. That's a great scene. I'd have to say, if I only had to pick one, the whole first Scarecrow meeting. Yeah. Like, when she's like, how can you talk if you don't have a brain? He's like, I don't know, but a lot of people, you know, talk without brains, don't they? And then, like, him going into the dance and the sing, and then she's like, why don't you come with me? I'm off to see the wizard. Because he's my favorite character.
Yeah, he's the best. It's so good. And that, like, sets up the whole thing. Like, it's formulaic how she meets the friends and asks them to go. So you kind of know that at that point by the time she's the lion.
Plus, because she met him first, he's the one that stays with Dorothy the longest. Mm-hmm. You know?
And I guess that's why at the end she says that she'll miss you most of all. I guess there was some sort of an intention to have like a love story between them in an initial draft of the story, and that line, I guess, remained from when they had.
See what I had no idea. I'm telling you, when Brian knows his film historian stuff. That's why I wanted you on here. I didn't know that. I'm learning new things. I had no idea there was like. Now you say it was a love scene or a love.
I think it was supposed to be an ongoing love story. That started in Kansas and carried through Oz, but I'm kind of glad they scrapped the whole thing just because it's so wholesome. I like love that. It's
because it would be weird. It would be weird because Dorothy is what, 13?
Oh yeah, the character of Dorothy is 13. I mean, Judy Garland's 16 when she played her, but then that's not what you want from. Yeah, I was like, she was 13, and then initially Hunk, is he's the farmer guy that initially is that his name, Hunk or Hal? Yeah. It's Hunk. And he plays one of like the farmer helpers like on Dorothy's farm, and he looks like he's 30. Yeah,
so it's like 13 and 30. Yeah. That's messed up.
It's also something about.
I'm like, don't put that.
Old Hollywood, they all look so much older than they are. Even Judy Garland at the time.
Yeah, but I was like, this is a family movie. I'm like, please don't put that in there.
I know what you mean.
I was like, yeah.
Another line you might not know. You definitely know this one, but when we were talking about the jitterbug, there's a part where the Wicked Witch says, I've sent a little insect on ahead to take the fight out of them. That is her referring to sending the jitterbug after them, but that whole part is cut.
See, I didn't know that.
It doesn't super make sense, but I mean, I still love it. I love that.
They cut that out of the original because the only thing that she says, she tells her monkey friend, take your army to the haunted forest. Do what you like with the others, but I want her alive and well. Mm-hmm. And I guess they replaced that line with the stuff that you just said.
Well, that part is still there. She says, they'll give you no trouble, I promise you that. I've sent a little insect on ahead to take the fight out of them.
That's right. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, I forgot about that part. That's right. So
that piece is there referring to the jitterbug, but the jitterbug part is not.
I don't. But see, that doesn't make any sense. I wish they would have kept the jitterbug sequence. When you watch the home movies on the Blu-ray, it's fantastic. And then them singing about it is fantastic.
Yeah, it really is so good.
So Larry had a question. He says, do you have any movie props, like from the movie?
I don't have props. I have a bunch of memorabilia. I have like this pennant for Emerald City that I really love. I have this one it's not actually from the movie, but it's definitely because of how much I love the Wicked Witch.
Oh, that's awesome.
Little crystal ball. And then specifically I wore my ruby Converse for this.
The ruby Chucks. Oh my gosh.
What do you think?
I love. Oh, and you got the Wicked Witch's socks on there.
I came prepared.
You definitely came prepared, my friend. That's awesome.
I love it. They are, and there they'll stay.
I love it. I love it. I would. I kid you not. I would love to get either in a glass case or. I've shown you my movie prop shelf a million times.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm running out of room. I kid you not, Brian. Like, I've got a few real ones, but a lot of the real ones are left back in Missouri. I told my mom I love my apartment, but it's getting a little small. So whenever I make some more money, I'm going to get either a condo or I'll buy a house, or I'll probably buy a condo first because houses out here are ridiculous. So at some point, I'd love to get a replica of like her ruby slippers.
Oh man, that would be. I mean, that's the holy grail of movie props. It's the
pretty much
you can get.
Either that or the Wonka bar. I mean, those two are super iconic. I've got a replica. I've got a fake one over here, but I would love. They're hard to find though. They're hard to find like a replica. I've looked. I've literally wrote in like ruby shoes, ruby slippers, and I always come up with like someone took their Chucks or their Vans and sprinkled something on it. It's not the iconic like slipper.
Yeah, I have two references I can send you. There's one company that makes replica ruby slippers, but they're just kind of for display. They're not like movie accurate or anything like that. It's just kind of like a. I
mean, as long as they look close, I would be content with that because I know, obviously, guys, I'm not going to get the real ones. You know,
right, of course. you know, there's 6 pairs. There's like so few pairs in there.
Well, they have one at where Steph Toomey works.
Yeah, at Land of Oz, right?
Yeah, Land of Oz. They have one there. I know. You told me they have one in the Smithsonian, right? Yep. And then, do you know where the other ones are?
Not all of them, but they had a pair at the Academy Museum in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them while they were there. They're not there anymore.
You and a friend went there and you said, "Hey, Fears, check this out." I wrote back, "Dude, I'm so jealous." I'm like, I could come and hang out with you and be there because they were in a glass case. I guess they moved them.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they are right now, but there was a whole Oz exhibit. They had like one of Dorothy's like sepia dresses. They had Witch's hat. It was like so cool to see in real life. They had one of the lions like head pieces, not the whole thing, but like the hair. It was so cool to see.
There's another question. He says, Brian, he goes, do you think there's a rumor? He said, do you think one of the midgets killed themselves on the set? Is that a rumor or a fact?
So as far as I know, it is a rumor, but so I went my whole life hearing about it and then it being squashed that it was a bird flapping, which if you look at it now, it is absolutely a bird flapping its wings.
Because there's a scene in that scene after she wakes the Tin Man up because he's so rusted. As they're talking, like she's talking to the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, they said, I watched the behind the scenes. They said, we wanted animals in the background. It's supposed to be, they said it's supposed to be a forest setting. And they said, what's in a forest? Birds, squirrels, beavers, everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you look in the background, guys, there's not just birds. They had squirrels running around. I mean, they had tons of animals running around.
Oh, yeah, they're there.
There's not many on camera because I'm sure animals get scared of the lights and all that. But there's animals running all through the set. And as they start seeing, we're off to see the wizard, you see it looked like a swan or something. Yeah. It's like this and kind of flaps its wings.
Yeah, that's what you can see there now. There is a show that I forget where you can stream it, like Hulu or something, called Cursed Films. Did you hear about this?
No, I've never heard of that.
So they have different episodes that delve into specific movie productions that are like cursed. And one of them is The Wizard of Oz. I haven't watched it yet, but somebody told me about it. That they delve into that rumor is actually true, that there is a hanging in it, and what you're seeing with the bird is like a digital, like when they remastered it, all the times they remastered it, they kind of covered it up. I don't know if I believe that. I haven't watched the episode of that show yet.
Because I
think it's not true.
Yeah, I heard the rumor that a midget hung himself and he's swinging.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's not true. It's a swan flapping its wings. I guess like I read online that they said the swan was uncomfortable on the set and he kept flapping his wings because he was nervous. That's what I read online. And I guess someone thought because he flapped his wings, it was a body swinging on the set because that he had hung. That's the rumor I heard.
That's what I understand. So I'll send you that Cursed Films show and you can.
Yeah, I will see it. Larry said Julie Garden was way famous before this, and I 100% agree. She was super famous before she did. That's why they wanted her. They wanted her for the film because she was that famous, and then she did a lot of work with that Mickey guy. What's his name? Mickey Rooney. Yeah, they were like best buddies, and then at one time I think, didn't they get married at one time?
Actually, I don't know if they did. I know they had like a vaudeville act together.
They got. I think they were boyfriend and girlfriend for a little while, but I don't think they ever got married. And then they just decided, hey, we should just be friends because we don't want to like ruin our professional relationship and our relationship. So, Larry, the monkey scared me too, buddy. He said that they were scaring him. So my next question is what's the most recent memorabilia? Because I was going to ask, I already knew you didn't have any props, so I was like, I'll just that's actually on my list of questions, but Larry beat me to it. So what's the most recent memorabilia that you've bought? Like,
ooh, I actually have a good one.
Okay.
It's a Disney pin. Somebody actually bought it for me.
Okay.
You remember the Great Movie Ride at Universal? I mean, sorry.
I love that ride, Brian, and they took it out. And I still like the Mickey's Railroad thing. I just recently, because I know you watch my Disney vlogs, that's going to be in one of my next few vlogs. I rode that. I filmed that. I wasn't supposed to, but you know how Fears does. I get that. I get that shot no matter what. And I was like this, filming through the whole ride, and some lady sitting by me, she's like, are you supposed to do that? And I was like, not really. And she's like, do it, film it.
Do it until somebody tells you not to.
I did.
But this is probably my most recent one. It's from the Great Movie Ride.
Oh, that's great.
A pin of of Mickey and Minnie.
Oh, wow.
Dressed as Wizard of Oz characters with the Emerald City in the back.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that really cool? I never saw it for sale. I've never seen it anywhere else. It's the coolest thing, though. That's definitely my favorite one that I've gotten recently.
Now, Larry has a question. He says, Brian, do you like Pete Rose? He's a big Pete Rose fan. He loves baseball.
I'm actually not a big sports guy. I'm not even super sure who Pete Rose is.
It's all right, buddy. It's okay. I like sports, but I've told all my fans, I know the game. I know how the games are played. But if you said, hey, Fierce, do you like such and such? I'm like, I don't know their names.
Yeah, I don't follow it. I go to games. I've always lived in like sports towns.
I was like, I don't know their names. I don't know their stats. I don't care. I don't care about their names. I care about if the game is won or lost.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Does my home team of St. Louis Blues hockey, do they win or do they lose? Oh, they won. Fantastic. I don't care about anyone's names, you know? All right, so my next question is I wanted to ask this because I asked Steph because she checked out my work and she checked out all my props. When I've shown you my props, whether the real ones or the replicas, which one's your favorite that I have?
Oh, I need a refresher. I know I've seen all of them, but
I'll show you, buddy. Here they are. They're right here.
Oh, hell yeah. I gotta go with the Jason mask because I'm just obsessed with Friday the 13th.
Okay. That's from part 3. That's the part 3 one. I've got a couple of masks, but that one's one of my favorites because that's the first time he gets the mask.
Oh yeah, he has the bag in the second one, and then he's just
a
monster in the first one.
And well, I was watching. I remember I was like, they didn't know when you watch the behind the scenes in the second one. The guy that played Jason was like, they just brought a bag up to me, and he was like, "Is this it? One eye hole? One eye hole? That's it?" And they're like, we know what Jason's going to look like when the mask is revealed and shows him how all deformed and all ugly. But they said we don't know what he's going to wear before, and they said just try this. And I guess someone thought the bag was like super creepy, and I was like,
awesome. It's so scary. I love the bag.
But you gotta admit the hockey mask is 10 times better.
Oh yeah, obviously it's iconic.
And you know what? That happened by chance. When I watched the third one, some guy on the set was a big hockey fan, and the director of the third one's like, I don't think we're gonna use the bag. And they said, I'll just shoot Jason all from like behind, like won't show his face until the very end. Right. And they said, we'll just shoot him from behind. And the guy on set, he was playing, they were doing roller hockey, and he had the mask, and he was in the goalie, and then the director saw it and was like, that looks creepy, man. Like when did you get that? He goes, I've always had this. He goes, I used to play goalie. I'm a big hockey fan. And he said, I've got an idea. I think we found Jason's mask. Give that He goes, do you mind if the character wears that? And he goes, no, he goes, that's mine. He goes, to have it on film throughout the whole movie, take it.
That's cool.
And they did it. So that's around the story. I don't remember all the details, but that's basically the story. So yeah.
That's great.
So you've shown me your memorabilia. There's so much because you Instagram it. You like we've done Skype calls and stuff, and you've showed it to me. I think the newest thing that you just showed me is my fave. That purple crystal ball that you just showed.
Oh, yeah.
So you said that's recent, right?
Yeah. So somebody got me this as well. It's not actually like from Oz or anything. It's just like a.
It's supposed to represent it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like to play with it as if it's like.
It's cool, man. Because when you put that into camera, I was like, that's new. I haven't seen that. I'm like, that's badass. So yeah. When did you start collecting? That's my next question.
I wouldn't even necessarily say I'm a collector. It's pretty scarce comparatively. I find there's like Oz people specifically that I know just peripherally on Instagram and stuff. They have crazy collections, like cases and cases, screen use props, all that jazz. Comparatively, I'm nothing. I just have like some knickknacks that I think are cool. The only real collection that I maintain is like my Disney pin collection. That's why my Wizard of Oz pin is kind of my favorite.
You've got well over 100 pins, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think I have like maybe 400 or 500. Something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because Brian, I forgot to tell you guys this. Brian's a big Disney fan, probably even a bigger one than me, buddy. And I'm a pretty big Disney fan. I remember when you showed me the pins, and I said, Brian, how do you get all those on a vest? And you said, Fears, I just take maybe 30 or 40 out with me, put them on the vest, I wear them for the day, and then I switch them out on the next trip.
Yeah.
I was like, show me the entire thing. You showed it to me. I was like, damn.
Yeah, there's quite a few on there. It's heavy, but it's worth it.
You wear that? Is it a leather jacket with your pins on? I think
it's a denim, like a jean vest.
Yes, yeah. I couldn't remember what it. Yeah.
So it's a heavy one.
Oh man, there it is. Oh Lord, that is fantastic, man.
Cool.
I love it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a good way to like tell people that I'm a pin trader without actually, so they'll come up to me and want a pin trade.
Well, Brian, let's be honest. If someone came up to you and said, "Hey, are you a pin trader?" I'd be like, "This person's a moron.
Yeah,
exactly. He's got 100 pins on his jacket. Of course, he's a pin trader. Are you nuts?"
It's a good way to introduce pin trading without actually having.
Oh yeah,
pin trader.
I'd say my 3 favorite things to collect. My 3 favorite things to collect are probably anything horror memorabilia, movie props, and then Ghostbusters. Those are the 3 biggies. I have a few other things, and when my fans started realizing, like, hey, John collects, I told them the only difference between me and my best friend. I've told you about my friend Eric.
Of course.
Yeah, remember I said he's a big Ninja Turtle fan.
Yep.
So I told them the only difference between me and my best friend Eric that lives in Missouri is our collections are almost the same. Like, Eric collects Ghostbuster. Eric likes horror. He doesn't collect movie props, but he collects horror, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, and then wrestling stuff. And I said the only difference is I don't like wrestling as much as Eric does. I like it a little bit. But instead of the wrestling stuff, mine's the movie props. So it's pretty neck and neck. And then Eric loves the crap out of Ninja Turtles, and I like them a little bit. And then Eric likes Ghostbusters a little bit, and I'm obsessed with Ghostbusters. If I had $1 zillion, Brian, everything that Ghostbusters ever made would be in this house right now. Yeah. Yo, what's up, Visions? Good to see you. Vision says, Brian, would you ever wear a leather mask with pins, like Pinhead?
Oh, absolutely.
Visions loves Pinhead. I'm not a big fan of Pinhead, but Visions is a big fan of mine and a good friend.
Hellraiser rules. I would definitely do that.
I'm just not into Pinhead. You like Pinhead, Brian?
Yeah, of course. There's I love horror so much. It's so there. It really has to be a special type of bad for me to not like it. I like basically every horror movie I see, even if it's like not great, I still have fun watching it. I'm not saying Hellraiser is.
You've seen my live streams. I love those shit garbage, those hilarious horror movies. Just Pinhead never did it for me. Like one of the most recent cheesy ones I saw, Visions did a referral and said, "Fears, you've got to watch." He just watched it, and I watched this trailer called Return to Horror High. I haven't seen it yet, but it had George Clooney in it, and I was like, out of nowhere, George Clooney. I'm like, I got to watch this. But yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but I haven't watched that.
I have a list, though. I was like, I'm going to write it, put it on the list, and I said, I'll get to it, Visions. I'd say my 3 top favorite cheesy horror films, probably Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Amazing.
Probably the remake of The Blob. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of cheesy, The Blob. And then probably Halloween 3.
Ooh, see, I almost don't even think Halloween 3 is cheesy. I legitimately think it's great.
Oh, no, I think it's great. But they decided that, like, they thought people would get sick of Michael Myers. You know, they're like, yeah, we're done with Michael Myers. Let's try something else. And it bombed.
Right.
There is cheesy moments, but I do love it. I mean, I do love it.
The third one happened only because they did the first one and people were obsessed with Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Every Halloween was supposed to be a different story always from the beginning. So the only reason they even did Halloween 2 is because Michael Myers was like such a huge hit.
Yeah.
So they shoehorned in Halloween 2 and then released what would have been Halloween 2 had they not done.
Yeah.
But is Halloween 2.
Like all the stuff that because I've got all the Blu-rays and stuff, and they said, because, like Brian's right, they basically a 10-second version. They said, because Halloween was so great, the producer called John Carpenter and said, oh my God, I loved Halloween. It had funny moments in it. It had scary moments. It scared the crap out of me. Michael Myers is so simple, he's scary. It's just a guy in a mechanic suit with a white mask, with like jet brown hair, and it's kind of like going everywhere, and it's really scary. We need to get on this. He goes, we need to do another one. And at first, John Carpenter was like, I'll write it, but I'm not directing it. He goes, I really just wanted to do one. And he's like, but if you're going to pay me to write another one, I'll literally write another one. He goes, but get another director. And number 2 still holds up. I like number 1 and number 2. But then John Carpenter was like, you know what? I really want to – he goes, I don't know if it was his idea, but someone came up with the concept. We're going to keep making Halloween movies, but every movie should be something related to Halloween, but not Michael Myers per se. And they came up with that. And I guess people didn't like that idea. They're like, no. We love Michael. We want Michael. We want more of Michael. Forget Halloween 3. We want more Michael. And I was like, I would have liked it either way because I loved Halloween 3 and I love Michael. So I'm like, if they would have made something to do with Halloween, on Halloween 4, it wouldn't have bursted my bubble because I'm like, who cares? I've already got 2 Michael Myers movies.
I always say I would have loved to see what the other stories besides Michael Myers would have been. I think that would have been cool, but as much as I love the way they turned out now.
So before I do my next scripted question, Larry says, Brian, any other movies that you're an expert on?
I got a few. I mean, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, where is this? Is one of my all-time faves. I'm a pretty big historian on that too. Had you seen that one? I have seen that one. It's amazing. They need to make a sequel. They need to make a sequel. They made an unofficial sequel. It's an anime series that just dropped on Netflix. It's
really
fantastic. It's really, really good. It's not truly a sequel. It's kind of a retelling of what happened in the movie.
That's why I like being Brian's friend, because you're blowing my mind. I didn't know that was a thing. So
it's really, really good. And the comics are really fantastic too. That's kind of what got me.
I've read some of the comics, but not all of them. But yeah. When I was a kid, I didn't read a lot of comic books. My dad would give me his old ones. My dad was into comic books a little bit. So my dad gave me his old ones. And remember, I told you how close me and my dad were. And my dad gave me his old Captain America, his old Spider-Man, his old Batman, I believe. And then I started buying some when I was a kid. I bought some Indiana Jones comics when I was a kid. And I bought Ghostbuster comics. And that's about it. But I got a lot of my
I really only had like a few. Actually, there was a few Wizard of Oz comics that came out way back when I was younger.
See, you're putting my mind again. I had no idea they made a comic book out of that.
Yeah, there's no way I'd be like. I wish I had them now. That I don't even know where they went.
I guarantee you, if you had those, Brian, they'd be worth a lot of money. I mean, a load of money. So my mom, before my dad died, I remember me and my dad saying, he goes, if you don't want those comics, either give them to your brother or give them to someone in the family. And I said, Dad, I bet your old comic books are worth a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, yeah. He goes, because I bought them in the 50s and 60s. And I said, I'm going to keep them. I said, do you mind if I sell them one day? I said, because I'm only into – I said, I like comic book movies more, Dad. I said, I'll keep them if you really – he goes, no. He goes, you can sell them if you want. And so one day I'm going to sell those.
Yeah, I bet you'd make a nice little –
yeah, I guarantee you either on Etsy or eBay, they'll make a pretty penny. I don't know how much, but yeah. So before I do my next scripted question, people have got a whole bunch of questions here. Let's see here. Vision says, does Brian have any movie tattoos? Because Vision's, I don't know how many tattoos he's got, but he's a big friend of mine. He's got a couple of tattoos.
Oh, yeah, I got a bunch. My whole arm sleeve is Scott Pilgrim. Technically, it's from the comics, but I would consider that a movie tattoo.
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast on my hands.
Oh, there you go.
And then my flying monkey. I think those are my big movie tattoos.
Larry says, Fears, put the James Bond hat on. Larry, I don't have a James Bond hat. I think he's referring, I just got an Indiana Jones hat, Brian.
Oh, nice.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Well, I had gotten one before, and it was like a light brown one, and it wasn't good, you know? So I went to the Disney website, and it took them, they were so backed up on orders. I ordered it in last Christmas, like right after Christmas. Because I wanted it for my Christmas unboxing, which I haven't even uploaded yet because I'm so far behind. Everyone's been asking about all my Christmas stuff, and I'm like, you guys know me. I film so much. I'm so far behind on my videos. They'll come out when they come out. They said, it's going to take a while before you get your hat. And I said, well, how long? They said, maybe a month. I didn't get it until like a week or two ago.
Oof.
It was insane because they said, we're so backed up on orders. And I said, really? And they said, yeah, it's Disney merch. So finally, there it is.
Cool.
This one actually looks like the Indiana Jones hat. The other one was like light tan brown. And I think there's only a couple of scenes where he does wear a light tan brown. Normally it's a dark brown, super brown hat, and there's two types. There's ones, like in the third one, he wears an all brown hat with a brown bow tie like this. In Temple of Doom, I believe he wears one where it's a black bow tie around it. Yeah. It's either in the first one or the second one. So I was like, I either want the brown one with the black bow tie or the all brown one. I'm like, but I got to get a better one than this tan one. So I may just try to sell the tan one either to a friend or on eBay because I don't want that one, you know. So I'll give it to somebody as a gift because this one's the best. But I just wanted to show it to you real quick, buddy.
Nice.
Yeah, I forgot that some of your, I know because not all your tattoos. I'm glad that Visions brought that up. I knew that you had some movie ones, but then you had some related to like family and other things. So
it's more so just stuff I think is cool. I have like a little Mickey Mouse behind my ear.
Yeah. I was going to ask
Mario tattoos
because Visions beat me to the punch. I'm looking at my list of questions, and I didn't label it as movie tattoos. I just asked, how many tattoos do you have fully on your body?
It's hard to keep track because like my sleeve is technically one tattoo, but it takes up my whole arm.
Yeah, there's probably like many sessions though.
Right. Oh yeah. So I've lost track of how many sessions, but technically I only have like 10 tattoos, but it covers like most of my body because like a sleeve is one, sleeve is another, my whole chest. So
and then when I remember you posted a picture. It was either last year, like when you and your family, you went somewhere tropical, either with friends or your one hot friend. You know who I'm talking about, because I was like, who's this girl? She's pretty.
They're all hot.
And you're like, Fears, I hate to burst your bubble, but she's a lesbian. I was like, dang it. I was like, there's no hope for me then. But no, she was hot. It was either with your group of friends or your family. You had a Hawaiian shirt on. You were somewhere tropical. And I and I totally forgot that you told me that you had some of your legs tattooed.
Yeah.
But when you were wearing your Hawaiian shirt with your shorts, I think that was the first time that you had revealed your legs or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not trying to be like weird. I was like, hey, Brian, I had no idea your legs were tattooed. Because in your photos, you always have a shirt on and you're like, check out my new tattoo on here or on the back of your neck or like on your arms. And I was like, oh, this is the first. I'm like, I didn't know he had his whole leg tattooed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just a little room. I want to.
Do you remember your first tattoo?
My Scott Pilgrim sleeve, like I didn't get it all at once, but I started big. I was just like, I know I'm gonna want a lot, so just go. And
so that was your very first one.
Yeah, that was my first one.
So are most of them like stuff that you think's great in movies, or is there any one that's like special, like related to your family? Because if I ever get a tattoo, Visions asked me one time. We're pretty good buddies. He said, "Would you ever want to get a tattoo?" Visions, I can't remember if I told you or if you asked me, buddy. Somebody in our YouTube community, and I believe it was Vision, said, would you ever get one? I said, yeah. I said, I would get 3 right off the bat. I would get my dad's name either on my shoulder or on my back, my dad's full name, my grandpa's name, because they both passed away, and I was very close to both my grandpa Fears and my dad. So I was like, I'll get their full names. And then I would love the Ghostbuster symbol right here, either on this one or on this one, like literally, like, you know how like they wear their jumpsuits and they've got the patch right here. I was like, that'd be cool. Well, my flesh is a jumpsuit and it's going right here. So those 3 I would get right off the bat. But cool. Do you have anything related to like family or friends or anything like that?
No, I like have one that's like it's like a glass of lemonade, whatever. It's a matching tattoo with a bunch of my friends that like symbolize this like tour that we all went on together.
Oh, that's man. That's
even cool. That is like for a band that I like, and then I have like one for a comic book I like, one for video games that I like. Really, I don't put too much pressure on it, like being super sentimental, because it's all this stuff I like, so that's sentimental enough for me. I'm never gonna not like this stuff.
I was just curious because that was on my list. I was like, I know Brian's got a lot of tattoos, but I was like. And I know you're real close with your family and stuff, and I was like, I wonder if there's one like near friends or family. But I mean, that one counts because you said
for sure.
That one counts because you said, well, I like this band, but me and like how many other group of friends got this?
I think 3 other friends.
So 4 including you. So that would count. Like, hey, I love all my friends. Let's get this tattoo. So that counts. So, yeah. Vision says, and then Fears got a Beach Boys tattoo on his butt. I did. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't it be nice right on my butt?
That would be cool.
Nice, an arrow going right into my butt. That's right. Vision, I told you not to tell Brian about that. Don't tell him that. No, I'm just joking. No, that's another thing that I would love to get a tattoo on, because I love the Beach Boys. Brian, my very first concert ever was I went to the 15-year anniversary reunion of the Beach Boys when I was a kid. Ooh, it was me, my mom, my dad, my brother, both of my grandmas. My British grandma came for it, and my American grandma. And I believe my grandpa was there because he saw that before he passed away, because he passed away in 93, and my dad passed away 2 years ago. So it was like a massive group of the Fears family.
That's so fun.
And I didn't know who they were. And my dad's like, well, of course you don't know who they are, John. You're little, and I haven't introduced you. He goes, this is the best way to introduce you to their music. He goes, they started in the 50s and 60s, and this is their 15th anniversary all together. And I went, okay. And I started listening. But my favorite song probably of all time, not just from their band, I just love the theme of Wouldn't It Be Nice. I love that. That's one of my all-time favorite songs. And I even told my friend Visions, it's not that I don't like music. I love music. I appreciate music, but I love movies more. And he understands that, and so do my fans, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because I put a lot of music. You've seen my vlogs. I put music in my vlogs. But very sparingly do I put music in it, because I'm like, I would rather just tell my vlog and my story with the footage more than music, because I'm like, or I'll put a movie scene at the end. Like I just did a Disney vlog, and I just saw. Did you see that animated short of the Disney? It's called Once Upon a Studio, where all the workers all the workers leave the studio and they're like, man, I can't believe that Walt Disney created this studio, the same building that we work in 100 years ago, and this building that he created is 100 years old. And they're like, man, if these walls could talk. And then the guy's like, oh, yeah, they would have a lot to say. Then they close the door, and then Mickey's like, hey, Tink, is everybody gone? And then he's like, all right, Minnie, assemble the crew. And then all the characters pop out of the pictures. And I put a portion of that in my vlog where Mickey meets Walt for the first time. He goes up to Walt's painting. It's a painting of Walt. Or it's either a picture or a painting. I can't really tell. And he goes, hey, thanks for all the memories. Got to go, but on with the show. Or he says something like that.
That's so good.
I thought that's a perfect way to end my vlog. Because Walt Disney's one of my heroes, you know. So, yeah. So, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What did you say?
It's so cool to have all of those voice actors come back for something like that. Is really intense.
And I believe it was at the end scene where they take a big photo. I think it's every single animated character ever created on film. I believe. Isn't that what they were trying to do?
I think that's I'm sure there's like some fringe characters that were left out, but it was so cool. It's either every single animated character in that photo at the end, like Goofy grabs the camera, and of course he's Goofy, so he breaks the camera, and then the one Bob the Builder, whatever, he builds the camera back. They take the photo, and it's a massive long photo of like basically everything
of everybody. And I paused it and I looked in and I was like, all right, from that movie, from this movie, because I was curious and I was like, if they missed one, I don't think anyone will notice. But I'm like, I'm pretty damn sure that every single Disney animated character is in this. So yeah. All right. Well, my next question is what are your top 3 Disney movies of all time?
Oof, that is a very hard one.
It's going to be hard for me, but a lot of my fans are like, Fears, we're sick and tired of you saying, I love this and then this. I never can pick just one. Yeah. So I've been trying to, whenever someone asks me a question, I'm like, all right, I'm going to think really hard and just think of just one answer. So, because my friend, I've told you about Randy. Randy's like, I'm sick of I like this and this. I'm like, well, Randy, they're both good. That's why I picked both of them, you know? So yeah,
it's hard to say if we cut Pixar out altogether.
No, you can pick whatever you want. Anything that Disney has made across the board. What are your 3 top favorites that you love? Like if someone came up to you, like a friend or a family member said, Brian, you can only have 3 Disney movies in your life. Go.
All right, that's pretty easy. It's all from the same kind of Disney animation renaissance era. I'm sure I'm not alone on this, but the ones that hit me the hardest when I was a kid that I still love, Beauty and the Beast is number 1, obviously. Aladdin killed me. So good. And Little Mermaid. There's like the 3 that I used to watch just over and over and over as a kid. They're all the music is written by the same guy, Alan Menken, for those 3 movies. He did a bunch of other ones as well.
And I didn't know his name, but the music is phenomenal.
Phenomenal. I can't believe how good it is.
Yeah.
So those 3.
So mine, the very first one, the fans know exactly what I'm going to say. It wasn't my first Disney movie that I watched, but it was the first one that like had an impact on me. I thought the characters were so awesome, so creative, and Robin Williams did a great job. Aladdin's my first one. Mm-hmm. And even Once Upon a Studio, I think they went through the Disney archives and they put his voice in.
I think you're right, yeah.
They found some old footage and they said, all right, we never used this in the film, so we'll use this in the animated short Once Upon a Studio. And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And it's a good way to honor him. So Aladdin would be first. Probably Belle's my favorite Disney princess, so probably Beauty and the Beast would be next. And then probably the third one, I love Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors. He's not my favorite actor, but he's one of my favorite. I'd say Toy Story is my third one.
It's so good.
That's so I have a Hawaiian shirt on, guys. So yeah. I just debuted this, Brian, for the interview. The fans haven't even seen this. I bought it when my buddy Eric was in town, and I said, I'm either going to save it for me and Brian's interview, or it'll be in my next Disney vlog.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, either one or both or whatever comes first, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I'll have to mention Wreck-It Ralph as my honorable mention.
Mm-hmm.
That is so good. The video game nods are so good. It makes me cry basically every time I watch it. Wreck-It Ralph. I have to mention it.
If I had an honorable mention, technically that's a fourth one. God, there's so many. Probably, I like Cinderella.
Nice classic.
Cinderella's a. Oh no! I've got it. Mary Poppins. I
love Mary Poppins.
I like Mary Poppins a little bit more than Cinderella, but I mean I do like Cinderella. But Mary Poppins, they filmed it all in England with almost an entire British cast except for Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah. Oh God, I love Mary Poppins. Did you like Mary Poppins Returns when they did that?
I did, but not as much as the original. But it's still a good sequel. Oh yeah, I've got it. It's over there in the collection. Oh yeah,
it's such a solid sequel. I think Emily Blunt did a really good job.
And you know what? She kind of looks like the first Mary Poppins.
Yeah, Julie Andrews, definitely.
I mean, not exactly, but I mean, I was like, oh, that's a good comparison. Her, and if you put them side by side, their costumes are not like identical, but it's in the Mary Poppins feel. Okay. And I was like, wow, they got it pretty damn close.
Yeah, for real.
You know, because it's not going to be an exact duplicate.
Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be because it's so long after.
Yeah, and me personally, I'm like, well, I don't want an identical duplicate because of what Brian just said. Yeah. It's a sequel. Mary Poppins is a little older. It's a new adventure. The kids have already grown up, and now it's the kids of the kids.
Yeah.
So it's the kids that she took care of in the first one. Now they have kids. So obviously her wardrobe is going to change a little bit. Her attitude's going to change slightly. You know, and what she believes in is going to change a little bit slightly. Right. Larry says, Brian, do you like the Apple Dumpling Gang? I've never seen that. I've never seen that one.
I haven't either. I'm actually not sure what that is, Apple Dumpling Gang.
It is a Disney film, and it's that guy that real skinny guy out of the Andy Griffith show. I forgot his name. It's not Andy Griffith. It's Andy Griffith's friend. So you got Ron Howard, Andy Griffith, and then the other skinny guy that had like big googly eyes, and he was super skinny.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And I don't know his name. Oh, there it is. Don Knotts. He's been in a lot of old Disney films.
Yeah,
like The Astronaut. That was a Disney one where he goes the goofy guy in space or whatever. Yeah. So I've never seen it, Larry, but I was like, if anyone's seen it, Brian's seen it before I have.
I actually haven't. I got to add that to my classics list. I got to watch.
Oh, yeah. I've got a list. I'll add it to the list, Larry. All right. My next question is besides the very first Wizard of Oz, out of all the other movies, did any of the other movies leave an impact on you?
They kind of all do. Anything that's even like Oz adjacent, you're signing me up for. I basically automatically like it if it exists in the Oz universe.
Mm-hmm.
Return to Oz was one that when I was younger disappointed me because the tone is so different from the original, but now I love it so much. I think it is so cool and dark and scary.
I believe number 2 is even scarier than number 1.
I think it's like kind of supposed to be. It's starting with Dorothy getting electroshock therapy to like deal with her trauma from Oz. That's so dark. It's really cool.
It's pretty dark. And then the Wheelers scared the crap out of me as a kid.
It's such a good villain. They're so scary. Love Return to Oz. The Wiz, I think, is so good. Mm-hmm. The music in that is so crazy, and I love a reimagining. I think that.
Have you seen the cartoon movie with Jim Belushi and Dan? I don't have that one. I've seen it. I went to the theater. I've got every single Oz movie except for that one. I need to get it. Nice. And there's Martin Short played the villain.
Oh yeah. So good.
He played like a funny kind of joker, like a court jester type of villain.
Yeah.
And then when he's in Kansas, I think he plays like a crafty like lawyer or something. Like they're trying to take Dorothy's farm away from Dorothy and Auntie M because they want to build a mall or something.
Right. Yeah. It's been a while, but.
Something like that. And Auntie M's like, no, you're not. We own this property. We like our farm. You're not touching our farm. Go away.
Had you seen the Tom and Jerry Wizard of Oz that came out like a few years ago?
No, I mean I've seen Tom and Jerry growing up because I love that cartoon, but I didn't know they had a Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, they do. They basically remake the events of the Wizard of Oz. It's actually awesome. I think my expectations were pretty low, but it's really cool. It's the animation style is awesome.
I've seen the Muppets version of Wizard of Oz.
I like that one too. I wanted to like that one a little bit more than I did. Something felt like it was missing from it, but I did still like it.
Did you know that after the movie they made a cartoon? I've only seen clips of the Wizard of Oz cartoon, and I think did it come out in the 70s or the 80s? Do you know?
70s. It was I want to say 70s. I'm actually unclear on the date, but that is really good too. And then in the 90s they had animated series like around the time of like the Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters.
Yeah, so they had two cartoons, and I've never seen a full episode. I've just seen bits of it on YouTube, but
they have a couple of full episodes on YouTube. It's really great. Whoever the voice acting was on it sounds just like the movie, and it's like Dorothy after the events of Wizard of Oz, getting the ruby slippers again and then using them to go back to Oz. Is
that the first cartoon in the 70s, or do they both?
The 90s like Saturday morning cartoon they did.
What happens in the 70s cartoon? Is that after her events of Wizard?
No, that one's the like a cartoon version of the MGM movie.
Oh, okay. I thought it was so the cartoon in the 90s is basically a direct sequel.
Yeah, and each episode is a different like adventure, and she goes back for like a different adventure in Oz.
Okay,
really cool. They find a way to bring the Wicked Witch back.
So if you wanted to watch them in order, it would be Oz the Great and Powerful, because that's a prequel. Yep. Then the Wizard of Oz, then the cartoon, the 90s one, yep. then Return to Oz, then that cartoon movie with Jim Belushi.
Yeah, that sounds like the proper order.
Yeah, so
in the cartoon
I've got everything except for the cartoon movie and the cartoon television show.
So I don't know if it exists on DVD or anything. I know I just like I have some of like the digital formats if you want to watch them. But.
No, it's funny that you say that, Brian. I've told my friend Vision this, and I've told all my fans. I like to find those old movie gems, and I find a lot of stuff on Etsy and eBay. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I loved Legends of the Hidden Temple so much. And I said, I wonder if I can get the full series. So I just wrote in one day. I literally went to Etsy and said, Legends of the Hidden Temple, full series. And some guy had taped them off of his television, digitally remastered them, and took out all the commercials and just put the show and burnt it onto a Blu-ray disc. And he sold it for like $40 or $50. And he put it all on Blu-ray discs, and I was like, gimme. And I bought it. I just showed my fans that like a couple of days ago.
Nice. That's really cool.
I just found another one. I was at work, and my friend's like, Fears, I know you love all that old 80s stuff. He goes, have you ever heard of something called Captain Power? And I was like, I have no idea. So probably on tomorrow's show, I'm going to do a trailer reaction and watch Captain Power for my fans. He said, Fears, if you love all that 80s hilarious like crap garbage that you do, he goes, we love Captain Power. And I was like, is it super cheesy? He goes, oh yeah, it takes place like in the future, 2055, and he's like half RoboCop, half police cop, and he takes down these like cybernetic organisms, and he's fighting crime or whatever like in the future. I was like, that sounds hilarious.
Nice.
I was like, I need to get on a little bit of Captain Power. I haven't seen a single frame of it, but I find those old movie gems. I guarantee if I hunted enough, Brian, I bet you I could get the full series cartoon.
I'll have to poke around. It's really good. I'll at least send you the episodes that I have found on YouTube because they're really fun.
I'll give you another example, then I'll move on to my next question. Have you ever seen this movie called Thunder Run?
I have not.
It is such an amazing action adventure 80s. It's basically this government guy asks his longtime trucker friend, these terrorists keep stealing our shipments out of the truck, and we want to catch them in the act. So they said, do you mind, they said, we know you're out of the trucking business. Do you mind buying a new rig, and we'll pay you $2 million to make this run? And at the end of it, we're going to have you go through this military base entrance, and hopefully they follow you in, and we catch these terrorists. And he goes, yeah, sure. And he goes, but if I'm going to risk my life, I got to up the ante. So I think at the end he gets like $5 million. He ups it to like $5 million. And he goes, because I'm bringing me and my grandson. And he goes, my grandson is not only my grandson, he's like my partner in all my business transactions. And we're going to split the dough. So he said, I don't want to die or my grandson. So I'm upping it to $5 million or something like that. So he basically buys this rig, Brian, and he puts so many weapons on it, like machine guns, flamethrowers, bombs on it. And me and my brother used to rent that, but I could only find it on VHS. But I was like, Fears, whenever you're determined, whenever I'm determined to do something, that's where I shine the most. Because one time a fan asked me, they said, Fears, you're pretty a hard worker. You're a pretty determined guy. I said, in life, you have to be persistent. So I kept hunting. I finally found this guy, Brian, in England that said, it's on my eBay. I taped it off of my television. I'll take out all the commercials and I'll burn you a copy on a disc. And he even got me a DVD, like a blank one, and he printed out a poster and put like the Thunder Run picture on the DVD cover, put me in a disc, and he mailed it to me. And he goes, you probably only have the only copy in existence.
That's
cool. I was like, wow. And he goes, because how long did it take for you to find me on eBay? I said, years. I said, I searched for 2 years. Every weekend I would just kind of do like a little search, and I was like, I'll find something. I'm like, I haven't found it yet, but I'll find something. So as soon as you said, like, I don't think you'll be able to find the cartoon, I was like, I'll find it.
I know it doesn't actually exist. Like, they don't sell the DVDs, but if you were finding something like that, I bet you definitely could.
I bet you I could find someone to burn it onto a disc for me. Yeah. Larry says, have you hated the inside? Wait, have you hate in the castle of Disney? Oh, have you ate? He said hate. Have you ate in the castle like Fears did?
Oh, yeah, the Beauty and the Beast one?
I didn't do Beauty and the Beast. I just wanted to eat, and the one I did was where you meet not every single Disney princess, but I met about 6 or 7. They're in the vlog. Did you see that vlog?
Yeah.
You saw the vlog when I was in there eating. So mine was like, it was called the Cinderella's
Royal Table.
Royal Table. So I did that one, but I know
I actually hadn't done that one, but I did the Be Our Guest, the Beauty and the Beast one, a few times. That one's really neat.
And I've done that one too, but I didn't get to meet sometimes Belle. I did Be Our Guest first in the Beauty and the Beast castle, and I asked. I said, "Will Belle make an appearance and the Beast?" And they said Belle's actually doing a meet and greet. So they said you're only going to get to see the Beast today, but they said we switch it up all the time. They said sometimes it's just Belle and not the Beast, and sometimes they're together, and sometimes it's just the Beast. So I got the luck of the draw. So I did Be Our Guest first. Oh, excuse me. And the fans loved that, and they're like, Fears, do another one. And I was like, okay. And it takes so much to get a reservation to into the castle.
Yeah, it's tough.
And because people from around the world, you have to. I booked it like 2.5 months in advance, Brian. And I know you've been to Disney World. Have you been to Disney World more or Disneyland more?
Probably Disney World. I didn't actually start going to Disneyland until like way later in life, but I grew up going to Disney World.
I've only been twice to Disneyland. And the second time we only went for half a day. The first time I went just with me, my mom, and my brother, our immediate family. The second time we went was my British family. We took my entire British family to, we did some skiing and stuff in Oregon. And then we went up to Lake Tahoe. And while we were in Lake Tahoe in California, they practically begged my mom and dad. They said, we don't have to stay in Lake Tahoe the entire time, do we? And my dad's like, no. He's like, you guys came all the way from England. Like, what do you guys want to do? They said, well, we'd love to go skiing a little bit in Oregon. So we did that. And they said, we want to, ride jet skis and stuff on Lake Tahoe. And they said, can we stay for like 2 or 3 days and do all the Los Angeles stuff? So we did the Wax Museum and we did the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And then literally like the last day, they're like, we're begging you. We really want to go to like Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I'd already been. I was like, yeah, let's just go. And
It's
I
so worth it. I love it.
It was a really hot day. We only stayed from like 9 in the morning to like 1, and they had already had enough. They're like, because they're not used to the hot weather, Brian, because it's rainy and coldy a lot in England. So all right, we've had our fill. We're ready to get out of here. And then they literally left the next day. So we flew back to Missouri, and they said, do you guys mind? We're just going to fly. They were so tired, Brian, by the end. They came for like 2.5 weeks. And so they were like, well, we were going to fly back with you to Missouri and then fly back to England. They said, do you mind if we just fly out of LAX? And my dad's like, no. He goes, it's your guys' money. I'm glad you guys had a good time. And they flew right away the very next day because they were so tired. It looked like they had been defeated like from a war, Brian. Because we went gung-ho for about, I can't remember. It was either they stayed for 3.5 weeks with us or 2.5 weeks. And by the end of it, they're like, we love you guys. You guys are family, but like, we're done.
They weren't a lot anyway at theme park days.
They weren't sick of us. They were just like, we're physically tired. And I was like, I get it. You guys have been traveling for 3.5 weeks. I get it, So, yeah. All right, Brian, it's your turn to ask me a question.
All right. Well, I want to reel it back to Oz.
All right, go ahead.
But I guess besides meeting the Scarecrow, because I know that's your favorite scene.
That's my favorite character and favorite scene, yeah.
Yeah. What would be your next favorite character and favorite scene?
It would be in this order. Scarecrow would be first. Then the next one would be probably the Tin Man, then Dorothy, and then Lion. Nothing against the Lion, but he's like kind of evil at the end, and he's like trying to pick fights and stuff. But then you find out that he's just a coward, and he's like, I don't want to be a coward. I want to be as brave as you guys.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I was like, I got bullied a lot as a kid, so I never liked bullies. But then I'm like, oh, he's not a bully at all. He's just trying to show how
misunderstood.
Yeah, he's misunderstood, and he's just trying to show that he is tough, even though he isn't tough.
Yeah.
But in the end, he proves himself, and he isn't a bully. So when I was a kid, I just didn't really like I don't like bullies at all. I don't like any form of negativity. I don't like bullies. I don't like drama. And I've told you before about the trolls. I've had to block a bunch of people, so, but it's gotten better. It's gotten a lot better with all the hate and stuff, like they usually leave me alone. Usually every once in a while, they'll do their tricks, but it would go in that order. And my second favorite scene, it's hard to pick, just like I said, one. I mean, I love the whole film. Like, there's not one shot that I don't love. Same thing with Ghostbusters. There's not one shot in that film. There's not one scene that they need to change. I'm like, it's perfect. It's perfectly shot. Wizard of Oz is perfectly shot too.
Perfect.
If I had to pick a second one, probably right before they meet the Tin Man, the Scarecrow and Dorothy, well, he doesn't eat, but she gets hungry.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'll show you how to get apples, and then the trees come alive, and they're all like, what? Like you're alive? And he's like, how dare you steal my apples? And then she's like, I keep forgetting I'm not in Kansas. Yeah. And he's like, come on, Dorothy, you don't want one of those apples. And he goes, are you saying that my apples are not good? And he's like, oh, no. He's like, it's just that she doesn't like little green worms. And they start fighting. And I thought that scene was great. So that's probably my second favorite. It's a real quick, probably it's not even a minute. It's probably 45 seconds to 30-second little quick scene before they meet the Tin Man.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
And I love that little scene. That's probably my next favorite.
It's really good. It's just further pushing how magical, all of Oz is.
So,
I was talking to somebody about it recently. His theory was that, how it shows the Wicked Witch hiding before they actually do that?
Yeah.
His theory was that he thought she did something to the trees to make them talk as part of a...
Oh, to the spell? Okay, I got you.
Yeah, as another plot to, get Dorothy.
Well, and they even set it up. She's like, before she disappears in Munchkin Land, she says, just try to stay out of my way. Just try to stay. So that implies that she's going to watch her all the way to the Emerald City. Like, she'll go, oh, I'm going to be on top of you. You think I'm not going to be there? I'll watch you. And if you get in my way, you're going down. So that's why she was hiding on top of the roof, and then she was hiding behind the tree and all that, you know, because she's watching Dorothy's every move. And then she's like, well, who are these guys helping her now? Like, I don't want nobody to help her.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, it doesn't matter how many friends she makes. I'm going to take her down at the end. And then Dorothy's like, no, you're not going to take me down. Like, I'm going to, like, conquer you, you know, you evil witch, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Larry says, hey, Brian, do you do any movie quotes? Because Larry is a good friend, and he loves movie quotes. Larry's actually calling me right now. Larry, what's up? Hang on, let me put you on speaker. What's up? Larry.
Yes, sir.
What's up?
Not much. I didn't know if you was taking calls yet or not.
I wasn't going to take a call. It was just going to be me and Brian, but what's going on? You got a question for Brian?
Oh, no, I just was you guys may get into it later on, but I was hoping Brian would maybe give us thoughts a little bit on the actually movie-making part of the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that.
How they,
oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, back then they didn't have the technology we have today. But
oh, yeah, for sure.
Really nice scenes with the, you know, the melting witch and things like that. So
we'll get to it, buddy.
Okay, man, I'm enjoying the show. And
cool.
I didn't mean to bug you. I just know you said you might take some live audio calls. So.
Yeah, no, you're not bugging me. Yeah, I'll call you back here in a few.
And then also, I don't know if you saw my chat, if we could maybe get like Brian's favorite quote, kind of like, you know, how you quote all the movies.
Yeah, I just asked him about that. So right before you called,
I'm going to let you go, brother.
All right, cool. I'll see you later, man.
Brian, I just want to say, man, I can tell you really know your movies. I can tell you know your product. So I appreciate you coming on with Fears, man, and sharing all your knowledge with us. So thank you.
Oh, of course, my pleasure.
Yeah, it's an honor to have Brian too, because like Larry and Visions, Brian's a good friend. Like, we've been friends for 3 years, and like, I didn't even ask you for advice, so I appreciate it. Anyway, Larry, I'm going to get to your question. I'm going to hang up. All right.
You said you said that Brian knew his stuff, but sometimes
he knows his stuff.
He definitely knows it. So
well, I even told you, Larry, last night. I was like, I'm not going to tell you anything about the interview, but I'm like, Brian is literally a film historian, not on every single movie, but he knows his stuff on certain movies. I'm like, he knows more than me. And Larry was trying to get some stuff. He's like, what's next? I'm like, I'm not going to give you anything about the interview. All you get, you'll find out when Brian gets on the show tomorrow. So yeah. All right, Larry, I'm going to take off, buddy. All right. Anyway, so to answer Larry's question, what's your favorite quote out of the whole film?
It's obviously going to be something that the Wicked Witch says, because it just kills me. Everything she says is... there's like statistics. She's only on screen for like 12 minutes of the movie because they had to cut out so much of her part.
Yeah, there's not much, but anytime she is on film, when I was a kid, I was like, oh man, she means business.
The whole thing in Munchkinland when she's kind of confronting Dorothy right when she lands, I think all of those quotes are great. The part you actually kind of mentioned might be my favorite, when she's like, and as for you, my fine lady, it's true, I can't attend to you here now as I'd like, but just try to stay out of my way. Just try.
Yeah.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too.
In that scene when the fireball goes up, the actress got burnt.
Oh yeah, Margaret Hamilton, poor thing.
And I was like, man, she's a trooper.
It was crazy. I guess the makeup was like copper based, so with the fire, it heated up. The copper in the makeup in her hands and face heated up and burned her. That's insane. That's so scary.
They on my Blu-ray, because now she's been passed away for a long time, but when they made the Blu-ray, I think before she died, they got like her interviews on there, and her last interview was saying, oh yeah, they were treating me like royalty because, one, they didn't want to get sued, and two, they were like, are you going to be okay to do the rest of the film?
Yeah.
Listen, when I commit to a film, I commit 100%. She's like, just take me to the hospital, do whatever you need to do, get me all patched up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on set.
I'm glad it did, because I like shudder to think what that character would have been if somebody else played her, because it is so perfect.
I was like, dude, how hardcore is that? She's like, do whatever you need to do, get me to the hospital, wrap me up, and then I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning on the.
I think about like the Tin Man, the dude who was originally cast to play him, is this guy Buddy Ebsen.
Yeah.
He was allergic to the makeup that they used to make him into the Tin Man, so he had to drop out of the movie. Can you imagine knowing what Wizard of Oz had become now?
Yeah.
Originally being a part of it and then not being able to be a part of it. Must be every day. You must be kicking
the new Tin Man. His name is Jack something. What's the new Tin Man? Okay. The guy that they got to play instead of that buddy guy.
Oh my God,
it's Jack something.
Yeah, hold on.
And
I can't remember.
He literally, Brian, in an interview, he said, "Thank God Buddy dropped out." He goes, "As soon as I found out that I was going to be the Tin Man," because that was his favorite character, he said, "I ran home, told my wife, told my kids, hey, I still have a chance to be in Wizard of Oz." That guy dropped out because he was allergic, and his wife was like, "Oh, no way." He goes, "Oh, no, I got it. I'm going to be in the film. I got it."
Oh, it's Jack Haley is his name.
Jack Haley.
I forgot that. I blanked.
I can't imagine Jack not playing it.
I know, he's so perfect.
He's so good. I've watched his other old movies where before and after Wizard of Oz. He was a good actor.
Oh yeah.
I don't even think anyone is still alive who was in the original Wizard of Oz. I think they've all passed away now.
Yeah, the last person was one of the Munchkins. Was the last living cast member, and they recently just died a couple of years ago. But I mentioned the Buddy Ebsen thing because, Margaret Hamilton, if she wasn't able to come back and do that character, I just don't know what the character would have looked like. She's like the most iconic movie villain of all time. She's insane.
And then when you watch her interviews, they said, everyone thinks that I'm so evil. She goes, "What?"
So sweet.
And she's so sweet. And then I remember in the interview, the old vintage interview, she goes, "Everyone thinks I'm a villain." She goes, "I play a villain," but she goes, "Watch my other films. I've played romantic interests. I played a mother in a bunch of films." Because I played a fairy in another movie.
Did you ever see her appearance on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood?
Yes.
She specifically did that because kids were just so afraid of her, just seeing her like anywhere. So she did that to be like, "Here is me. I'm a sweet woman," and then she puts her Wicked Witch costume on, and she was like, "This is just me in a costume. I am not an evil woman."
I forgot when Mr. Rogers came on. Was it during the week or on the weekend? Because I watched every single episode. I loved Mr. Rogers.
I don't remember the schedule. I remember like whenever it was on PBS, I would watch it all the time. Because
that was the good old days before like TiVo and all that. I would go off to school and I'd be like, "Mom, tape the new episode of Power Rangers for me. Tape Mr. Rogers for me. I got to go to school and then I'll watch it when I get back."
Yeah, it's the best.
And I had to watch it on the weekend, Brian, because my parents were very strict. My dad's like, "No TV during the week." He goes, "Your only responsibility is get good grades so you can get into a good college. On the weekend, you can watch whatever you want." So I would see all those episodes, and I would watch them on the weekend. The only time I got to watch television during the week is my mom would go to the grocery store, and I'd be like, "All right, Mom, I'll see you later." And then I would set a timer. I'm like, "All right, my mom said she's going to be gone for 2 hours." And my dad would be at work, so I told me and my brother, "Hey, we got 2.5 hours to watch whatever we want because Mom will never know. She's not here. Let's turn on the TV." And so I would set a timer. And my brother's like, "When is she getting back?" I'm like, "She left at 1. She said she's coming back at 4. So we got all that time to watch TV." And I would just cruise through the TV.
Oh, yeah. And I remember seeing the Margaret Hamilton thing on there when I was actually watching the show, and I was just obsessed. I couldn't stop watching it. But any of the other quotes that I love from Wizard of Oz are basically all hers. The whole her having Dorothy in her castle, that whole dialogue is so great. You're like, certainly, when you give me those slippers.
Oh, yeah. Well, that brings up a good question. I have not told the fans about the Wicked Warlock. So,
oh, yeah?
How did the Wicked Warlock in our friendship come up? Like, did I create it first or did you? I can't remember.
I want to say it was you, honestly, but I just love that all the scenes with the Wicked Witch are my favorite. And I think I don't know if it started because I saw that you had red Chucks or you saw that I had my Ruby Converse.
No, I had red Chucks first. And then, no, you actually created it. I know how it was. You wrote me one day and said, "Fears, I just watched your recent vlog. Like, where did you get those red Chucks?" And I was like, "Oh, Brian." I'm like, "I got those red Chucks years ago." And I said, "My feet don't get any bigger." I said, "I've had those red Chucks for 8 or 9 years. I said, "I got them ages ago." I said, "And I don't get rid of something until, like, the only time I throw away my Chuck Taylors is if, like, a hole comes up on the sides. Then I'll throw them away. But I take good care of my stuff. So I'm like a typical guy. Like until there's a hole in it, I don't throw it away. So like if I'll have the same shirt for 10 years, and then the minute there's a hole in it, from laundry or washing, then I'll throw it away. Right. But I use it, and so I took a picture, if you remember, of my Chucks and said, "Oh yeah, I've had them for 8 or 9 years." And then you came up with the idea. I remember you said, "We still need to do this. We haven't done it yet." You said, "John, like you love Wizard of Oz, I love Wizard of Oz. We need to make like a little short film with you and Randy." And he goes, "We need to switch all the characters. So instead of like Dorothy, like you said, I'll play some guy named Derek, or something like that." And then he said, "Instead of the Wicked Witch, you or Randy needs to be the Wicked Warlock."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I love it." I said, "We should totally do that." And so
I still want to do that.
I still want to do it too. Randy has been working so hard on Fearsman 5 because the fans have been begging me. And I said, it's not that I don't want. I said, Randy's only one person. And Randy has to draw every single cartoon because I'm not a good drawer. Then he has to animate each cartoon. We're almost done. Randy said we've got 3 scenes left. And then so I told the fans, Fearsman 5 will be out by the end of this year, or by the end of this year. It'll come out this year because they've been waiting a year for it.
Jeez.
And so I told Randy on Fearsman 6 and any other Fearsman cartoon from here till the end of my death, I said we need to make them shorter cartoons. And Randall said, "Yeah, Fears." He said the longer the cartoon is, the longer it'll take me. So he said, if you do a quick Fearsman adventure from like a minute to 5 minutes, that'll take me about a month and a half. I said, "That's perfect, Randy." I said, "I would rather get out 5 or 6 little cartoons each year than to have a 20-minute adventure and it takes you a year and a half."
Yeah.
So I told the fans, and I'm going to tell them again, this is the last long one. Randy said this new adventure should be anywhere between 11 to 12 minutes. And so that's the last long one we're going to do. So, yeah.
And then we'll get our remake going on.
Yeah, because I remember
before, I think it was before we even talked about doing our scene. Do you remember when we do that Wizard of Oz, like the recreation of that scene with your Chucks? Do you remember that part? Describe what that was.
So even before the me and Brian's idea about the little short film, he's like, "Fears, just send me a picture of your Chucks." And I went, "Why?" And you're like, "I got a surprise for you." And I went, "Okay." So I literally stood in this corner, and you're like, "I need a white or just a solid background." So I stood in this corner, and I put the Chucks. I was wearing the Chucks, and I just put them side by side. And Brian digitally put my legs and my shoes on the yellow brick road. And I was like, "That's awesome." And I Instagrammed that, and I wrote you, and I was like, "Dude, thanks so." I said, "I know you're a busy guy," but I said, "Thanks so much." I said, "I'm Instagramming this."
It wasn't even just that one. Remember, I did the other one too.
Yeah, you did the other one. So you did one where I was on the yellow brick road. Then you did the one, a close up of my legs and feet, where the Wicked Witch was zapping them.
Yeah.
The Wicked Witch was zapping the shoes. And
it was my hands though.
Yeah, but you painted in Photoshop. You put long nails on you, like digitally, and then you couldn't cover up your tattoos, but you put green. You put the green on it. Yeah. So I was like, I don't care if you can see Brian tattoos. It's our version of the wicked evil warlock zapping Fears' Ruby Chucks.
Exactly.
And I was like, this is great.
That's definitely the scene I want to do too. It
wasn't even my idea, Brian. Brian wrote me, you guys, and said, "John, what do you think?" He goes, "Before we make our little short film, what do you think about this idea?" I went, "I love it. Let's do it."
Yeah.
I said, I love creating things. And I love creative people. Let's do it.
That's the scene that I would want to do with us. How would that go if it was that scene, but with the two of us?
I would totally convince Randy. I'd be like, "Randy, you can either be in it with me and Larry. Me and Brian, or you can just write it." And I said, me and Brian will film it. I said, Brian will film a scene like in his house. I'll film a scene in my house. Brian will send me the footage. I'll edit it together. I'll put some music in the background. I said, I don't care how we get it done.
Yeah. How do you think the scene would play out? Well, I guess describe the scene.
I guess I mean, there's a couple of scenes I want to do, but I really think we should focus on when she's trapped in the Wicked Witch's chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most dramatic scene where she's like, you see that? That's how much you have to be alive. And it isn't long, my pretty. It isn't long. And then we should do that. And then, because really she leaves after that. And then it's like a montage of like Dorothy crying. And then she like talks to Annie M. And then she comes.
I would want to do slightly before that.
Yeah, so that's how we should end it. And then we should do the scene before where she's like, certainly. And she's like, but the Good Witch of the North told me not to take him off. And then she's like, very well, take that dog and drown him. And no, you can have your precious, ruby slippers. Just give me back my dog. That's a good little girl. I knew you'd see reason. So we should do all that before and then end it where she's talking to the crystal ball, and then the wicked warlock's like, Annie M, like, I'll give you Annie M, and all that. Yeah. That's how we should end it.
Put you in here. Well, actually, I guess it would be me.
If Randy could digitally put me in that little ball, that'd be great.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, and then,
I guess, would you rather be you want to do the Wicked
Your favorite character is Dorothy, so we would do a male version of Dorothy, and then I would play
Theodore is what I was thinking.
Theodore, I love it. So you be Theodore, and then I would play the Wicked Warlock. So every once in a while, guys, just to make Brian laugh, I'll get on Instagram, I'll record it, and I'll be like, well, hello, Brian. It's the Wicked Warlock of the West. That's exactly how I do it, Brian.
It's the best. I love it.
You'll message me back and go, oh, my God, it's the Wicked Warlock. Like, you'll never get my ruby chucks, And I will get those ruby chucks, buddy. Oh, yeah. And it just makes me laugh. It makes Brian laugh. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it's hilarious. I'm like, I'm going to do it.
It's so fun. It's like I get to live my Wizard of Oz dream finally.
That's right. And it's like, well, as long as it makes my friends happy, I'll do it. And as long as it makes my fans love it, then I'll do it. So yeah. Larry says, why hasn't a part 2 ever been made? Well, they did make a part 2. I just don't think it was. You can never beat the first one.
Of course.
The first one is iconic. The second one was pretty good, and now Disney owns. They do. The Wizard of Oz, because in the 80s they made. Walt Disney really wanted to make a Disney version of the Wizard of Oz, and it just fell through. It was supposed to be called. Wasn't it called like the Wizard of Oz, the Magic Rainbow to Oz, or something like that?
Oh yeah, no, you're jogging a memory.
I've seen old footage of Walt on his Mickey Mouse Club talking to the kids, saying, "I've written a part for all you kids in the Mickey Mouse Club to be in my new film, the Rainbow Road to Oz," and they were all excited. And they shot a pilot. They shot a few scenes of the film. And they put those few scenes in the Mickey Mouse Club television show. And then right after the show debuted, all that stuff is on the Return to Oz. I'm sorry, it's on the Oz and Great and Powerful Blu-ray. And one of the original Mouseketeers, or whatever they called them, was on the Blu-ray and said the minute the pilot of those scenes aired, She said, I looked over at Walt sitting in his chair, and he was disappointed how it came out. And she goes, I knew right there and then, yep, this ain't going to get filmed. This is going to get scrapped. And the very next day, he scrapped it and moved on to his next project, which was Babes in Toyland. Mm-hmm. So they said that animated, it was half animated, half live action. They said that was his first. It was basically like Alice in Wonderland, but like it was basic, but he called it Babe in Toyland, but it had to do with toys and Alice in Wonderland. And Disney on the Blu-ray said, if you look at that movie, they said that's what his version of the Wizard of Oz would look like. But he did that one first.
Yeah, I like that.
So I was like, oh, wow. And then they said it just wasn't time. They weren't ready to do a Wizard of Oz film. But then when they brought some more of the rights and more of the books, they're like, we're so ready to do the prequel. It just sucks that they made prequel before Walt Disney, after he died, so he never got to see it.
Yeah, I wonder what that would have looked like had he been around.
But if you watch to the end, I think they say in memory of Walt Disney on the Oz the Great and Powerful, because it's a prequel. It shows you how he became the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I actually like it. I think it's pretty.
I loved it. I love it.
Wait, there's a Larry question I actually want to answer though. What's one thing you would change about the Wizard of Oz?
Go ahead.
It's such a perfect film. There's just one thing that I think is a little, I don't know, wonky, I guess, is at the end when Glinda comes back and tells Dorothy that she's had the power all along. I do love that message. I love the you always had it, you didn't have to find anything. I love that.
Yeah.
But in the book, at that point, she's meeting the Witch of the South instead of the North. This was just kind of like they made those characters into one character because they wanted Billy Burke to play a bigger part, which I get. I fully get that. But when she's like, well, why did you tell her that she could have used the ruby slippers the whole time? And she says, because she wouldn't have believed me. You're seeing wild things in Oz. I think she's going to believe whatever you tell her about.
If I was transported from Kansas, I'd be like, look, I just left the comfort of my home through a tornado. All right, bitch, I'll believe anything you say.
Right.
I'm in a land and I don't know what the hell's going on or why the hell I'm here or what I'm doing. I'll believe anything. Just get me the hell home, you know?
Right. And I buy the whole, like, you had to learn it for yourself before.
It's a good message.
I buy that. I just think having those not be two separate characters. The Witch of the South was like, oh, you're just meeting me now, so I'm telling you how to get home right now. And I don't hate it. I just think it's one of the few things in this movie that isn't.
And you know, Brian, I've read the book before. I forgot that. I remember that the Wicked Witch is in it. I remember that her sister gets killed, the Wicked Witch of the East. I forgot that Glinda's sister, the Witch of the South, was in there. I forgot that was in there because Glinda is a good witch. There are good witches and bad witches, and the South and the North are the good witches, and the East and West are the bad ones.
Yeah. I think my solution to that would have been just having the actress Billy Burke, who plays Glinda, also play the Witch of the South. I think it would have been
like it was her twin or something.
Yeah, well, I mean Frank Morgan, the guy who plays the wizard, and the wizard and all of the guards in the city. You're already doing that gimmick where you're using one actor as a bunch of different parts. You could just do that same thing with Billy Burke.
I believe he plays 4 parts. He plays the Professor Marvel. He plays the Professor Marvel. He plays the quirky guard that opens up the door.
I love that part. Say his lines there. That's my favorite part.
Well, ring that bell, you know. Can't you read what? The notice. What
notice?
The notice. It's right there, plain as the nose on my face, or something like that.
It's so good, yeah.
He plays that. Then he plays the horse carriage guy, where he goes, well, I don't know if you can meet the wizard, but I'll take you somewhere to relax and tidy up a bit. And they go into that place where they get all freshened up, and he's the one on the horse, and he's like, what's that? Like, I've never seen a horse like that before. And he goes, there's only one of them. It's the horse of a different color, you know. And then he plays the guard that's actually guarding the wizard's entrance. The
one that cries.
Yeah, but he's right in front of the wizard. He goes, you're not getting past this door. The wizard's in that door. You're not getting past there. And then they're like, well, Glinda sent us. And he's like, prove it. And then he's like, well, she gave us the ruby slippers. And then he eventually lets them in.
Yeah. And then he also plays the wizard, so that's 5.
That's right, 5. So 5. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, at the end, she's like, they're like, you're a terrible man. He goes, no, I'm actually a good man. I'm just a very terrible wizard.
Oh, I love that line so much. It's so good.
So yeah. All right. So my next question is besides, I know The Wizard of Oz is like your favorite movie. Besides The Wizard of Oz, what's another one of your favorite movies?
Okay, I mentioned Scott Pilgrim is way up there for me.
Okay.
I have a little like indie darling that I feel like no one's ever seen. That's one of my all-time favorites is Josie and the Pussycats. Have you seen that one?
Heard of it. I've just Wasn't it a television show too?
It was a cartoon show, but then they, in the early 2000s, did a movie with Rachel E. Cook and Tara Reid and Rosario Dawson.
It was a live action television too, right?
I don't know if there was a live action one. As far as I know, they had the animated show, and then they're part of that show Riverdale.
So I've heard of it. I've just never seen any of that. I've never seen the animated. I've never seen it, but I'll put it on the list.
The animated is fun. It's like an Archie Comics cartoon. That one's good. But this movie is just like, it's such a staple. Like, it's such a part of that time. It's like so self-referential. There's like a bunch of jokes about like pop music brainwashing the youth of America because they put subliminal messages in the music or whatever. It's such a crazy story. It's just so funny, and it's so well done, and like no one's ever seen it. I don't know why.
But that's one of your favorites. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next. Give me your 3 top cartoons as a kid. Now, what was your 3 go-to cartoons as a kid? I've got them ready, but I'll let you go first since you're my guest.
Ninja Turtles. Huge Ninja Turtles house. Me and my brother were absolutely obsessed.
Okay.
I got to go Nickelodeon. There were so many Nickelodeon ones that I watched, but
God, so many.
Hey Arnold was probably my jam. I was him for
Hey Arnold is flipping amazing. Football head. They're like, hey, football head. And he's like, leave me alone. I love my head. But it was shaped like a football.
I'll have to send you I'll send you a picture. I was him for Halloween one year, and I made like a big football head out of
send me that pic. That's awesome.
It's really good.
Oh,
man. And then
Ryan's version of Hey Arnold. I'm like, to me, yeah.
And then the Wizard of Oz cartoon was like my favorite. I loved it so much because of how much I loved the movie. I'm gonna have to send it to you because I think you're really gonna like it.
So you actually watched that cartoon when it came out?
All the time. It was like Saturday morning cartoon. I used to watch it constantly.
See, I missed that. That passed me by.
There's only a few episodes. It didn't go on for very long. I think they had like 2 short seasons. But
so 2 seasons.
Watch it all the time. It was
so 2 seasons, because usually a season in a cartoon and on a sitcom is usually 24 episodes.
It's not that long at all. I think total there's like 12 episodes. There's like not.
Okay. So that means it didn't do so well and they took it off real quick.
Which is crazy because the quality is so high, I think.
Okay.
It's weird that it didn't do as well as I would have assumed.
I'd say my 3 top favorite cartoons, and it goes in this order. Without a doubt, I'm so predictable, but you know which one is my favorite cartoon. Brian, can you guess my favorite cartoon?
I'm guessing it was the Ghostbusters cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good.
The real Ghostbusters cartoon, and it's sad to say, I've only found on DVD the first 2 seasons. I know the whole complete series out there. I really want to get it on Blu-ray, though. I'm waiting for it to come out on Blu-ray. And I don't think it has yet, but that's my all-time favorite. I never missed an episode of the real Ghostbusters growing up. So that one first. Second would be Inspector Gadget. I love Inspector Gadget.
Really great. Inspector
Gadget. And then third would be Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah. That was just so classic. The action figures alone, I was like...
Oh, I still have all of my original Ghostbuster stuff and all my original Ninja Turtles.
I think that's going to be worth a little bit of money.
But you know what? It's so sentimental. If I ever have kids, I'll probably let my kids play with it. And then when I'm like 60 or 70, I'm like, all right, time to add some money to the retirement fund. Let's sell some stuff on eBay, you know?
So let me show you this. I actually found the picture of me as Hey Arnold.
Yeah, let me zoom in. Oh, my Lord. There it is.
Isn't that good?
And then is that your friend?
Yeah, my friend was Helga.
That's awesome, dude.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, God. That's great.
Very proud of that one.
I mean, you got his T-shirt. You got his black and red, like, shorts. I love it. Didn't he wear, like, black Converse shoes?
Yep. I had those high tops.
So you had the high top. Oh, that's great. Yeah. That is fantastic. So, well, I'm glad that you brought up Halloween because I'm going to do an unscripted question. Give me your top 5 creative and favorite costumes growing up, or in your adult life. Just
I got way more creative in my adult life. So
just your top 5 Halloween costumes. They can be from as a kid, an adult, whatever your top 5, and then I'll do my top 5.
I'm way more proud of the stuff I did when I was an adult because I did it like when I was a kid. It was just either store bought or my mom did them. My mom did one when I was young, Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
I'll send you that picture because that I was very proud of. So good. And then the ones that I did on my own as an adult, Powerline from a Goofy movie that was came out really good. I did a male version of Dorothy, Theodore.
That's cool.
Hey Arnold, definitely. And then, did you see Onward, the Pixar movie?
No, not yet. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
You're familiar with the characters, like blue elf characters?
Yeah.
I did the Tom Holland plays his voice in it, the younger brother in it. I did that one year. I'll actually show you that one too.
That's cool. So those are your top 5.
Definitely.
Nice.
I love Halloween, so I could have answered that question all day.
You just know me. I love Halloween.
Oh yeah.
And I remember you wrote me and said, "Fears, I'm impressed with your Halloween/Christmas tree." And I was like, I wrote back. I said, "Brian, the fans love it. I love it. I keep adding layers to it every single year." I had Jason on a branch. I had Michael Myers on a branch. I bought the Halloween 3 little television that has the shamrock on. I put that on a branch.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I was all over it, you know.
I can show these real quick. This one's Wreck-It Ralph, my friend that was Fix-It Felix.
Oh, that's great.
That one's good. Gaston, obviously, Beauty and the Beast, the best.
Oh, that's amazing.
Is that fun?
That's so cool, dude.
This is the Powerline one from Goofy movie. I'm trying to get the glare
Brian,
out of it.
you went all out, dude.
I get really creative around Halloween. This was the Theodore Gale one, and then my boyfriend at the time was the Wicked Warlock.
Okay. Oh, so your boyfriend was okay. That's cool.
Isn't that cool?
So he's the first version of the Wicked Warlock.
Yeah, but it's been a long time, so I think it's time there's a resurgence of the.
We won't bring him up anymore. So yeah, I get it. Well, the cool thing about me is I've told you before when we first became friends, I don't care what people are. I'm cool with everybody. If you're cool to me, I'm cool with you. I don't care if you're blue, black, white, polka dots on your face, gay, bi, transgender, heterosexual, homosexual, whatever. I am cool with everybody. And I've told my fans this. The minute I don't respect you is when you don't respect me. If you don't respect me and respect my family or my friends, then I'm like, my favorite Fears line. You're gone. You're blocked.
That's fair.
I've said it so many times. But yeah,
What about your favorite costumes?
All right, 5. I've got 5 total. Mine aren't as creative as yours, but I gotta go. I did Michael Myers like 4 years in a row. Like I think Michael was my favorite to do all through high school.
That's a really fun one because you can really like act when you're doing it. That's really fun.
It was great. And I remember my buddy Eric was like, "Fears, you were that last year." I'm like, "Eric, I don't care. I do not care." And he said, "Yeah, but don't you want to do something new?" I'm like, "Nope, I love Michael Myers." And you're like, "Fears, you and this Michael Myers shit." Like it never stops. I remember Eric saying that, but he said it like in a funny, like, I love the guy, but he said it in a funny, like, isn't that enough, Fears? I'm like, "Nope. There'll never be enough Michael Myers in my life." And he's like, "All right, Fears, I just thought you'd want to be, creative the next year." I'm like, "Nope." And I did Michael Myers for like 4 years in a row. So that's definitely number 1.
That's fun.
Number 2, when I was like, I'd say 10 or 11, because I have British roots, my mom's from England, they have a British version of Dennis the Menace.
Oh, cool.
And he's completely different than the American Dennis. Dennis the Menace in America, he's like a small little kid, like 8 years old. He has golden blonde hair, and even though he gets into trouble, he's like the kid from next door, like, "Oh, I'm a sweet little angel. I didn't do that, Mr. Wilson." But the one in England, he doesn't hide that he's a pest. He goes, "I'm the biggest pest," and he's not a bully. He just gets into a lot of trouble, and he doesn't care that he gets into trouble. He's kind of like he's not a bully. He's a tough guy, and his look is so much different. He's got jet black hair, and he spikes it like he got electrocuted. So I took like 2 gallons of gel, and my mom's like, "That's enough gel." I was like, "Mom," I said, "I've got to get," and my mom helped me spike each individual hair. I mean, it was like out to here. And then he has black nails. So that was the only time I've ever painted my nails.
Nice.
He had black nails. Then he wears those black biker gloves over his hand. So I went and my dad or my mom bought me some black biker gloves. Then he wears kind of like a Freddy Krueger sweatshirt. It's not green and red. It's black and red. Like lines across his sweatshirt with black shorts, and then sometimes he wears red or black socks. For the costume, I did black socks, and then he wears brown boots, like brown commando boots.
Nice. You gotta dig up photos of these things.
That one's going to be hard to find. I'm going to have my mom send me that one because I don't know if I have that one on my Facebook. It's not really commando boots. It's brown, like those brown boots that like construction workers, like on a construction site, those really tough industrial brown
work boots.
So my dad had a pair of those, and I said, Dad, can I just borrow your work boots? My dad's like, yeah, go for it. So that would be number 2. Number 3 would probably be when I was 5, my friend convinced me to be the Wicked Witch.
Oh, seriously? You never told me that. How have you not told me that?
It just never came up.
How did it not come up? That's all we talk about.
I know, but I think it's the first time we've talked about Halloween costumes, so it never. I just either I forgot to tell you or me playing the Wicked Witch never came up.
I feel like it should have. That's really cool.
I know we talked about the Wicked Warlock, but so because like I've always been. I have a lot of gay friends, but I've always been kind of more of a manly guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm cool with everybody. But that was the first time I looked at I guess she was kind of like my first girlfriend. I had a crush on her, and we were in the same, like, kindergarten, first grade. And she's like, do it for me, John. Do it for me. You can make a great witch. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm playing a witch. And I think I was like, I'm going to dress up as Inspector Gadget. And then she's like, he sucks. I'm like, he does not suck. I'm like, he's amazing. I'm like, he has like an eyeglass that comes out of his brain. He's got a helicopter. I'm like, I'm dressing up as that guy. So I almost did it. And one day on the swing set, she comes over and she has the pretty little eyes. Please, John. And she like rubs my shoulder. Please. She goes, I want to do a matching costume. She goes, I want to be Dorothy, and I want you to be the witch. And she gave me a hug, and she gave me a kiss.
I love it.
And I was like,
green?
And I was like, oh, I'm like, fine. And it sucked it didn't work out. So I said, Mom, I want to be a witch. And she's like, do you really? I was like, not really. I'm like, but I'm going to do it for her. And my mom's like, okay.
You said you didn't paint yourself green?
Yeah, my mom painted so my mom put black around my eyes, painted my entire face green, put a little black wart on my nose, painted my entire arm green and my hands. I had the black dress thing on, and then I did a kind of a manly version of it. I tucked the dress into brown shorts, and then I put on my black Converse shoes to make it less girly. And I went up.
That's kind of like what we talked about doing the Wicked Warlock. Is like.
And then I went up to my girlfriend, and she's like, "Yeah, you kind of look like the witch." I'm like, "This is as good as you're gonna get, babe. This is it."
Did you act it all that day, or were you just like hanging out?
I didn't act like the witch, but me and her went trick or treating together, and we got a couple of pictures. I'll have to find that one. But that one I got really creative, so that would probably be number 3. Number 4, let's see. It wasn't really creative, but I loved doing. I was Jake. I was Elliot. Jake Blues.
Oh, nice. Cool.
From the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
The reason why I put that one in is that was the last year. My friend from church camp got really sick the last year, and the next year he died. But I said, you would make a great Elwood. And his name was David. I said, David, you're so tall. I said, I'm short like Jake. I said, I should go as Jake. And I wasn't fat, but sometimes when I was a kid, I was either skinny or a little bit chubby. It depended on when I worked out and all that. So I was a little bit chubby at the time. And he goes, I love that idea, John. He goes, I'm 6'1", and he was like 16, and he was like 6'1", and I've always been around 5'6", and so I went as Jake Blues, wow. And that was the last time he was really healthy. And then the next year, I forgot what he died of, but I went to visit him, and he got really sick, and his mom called and said, it's getting to the point where he's saying all of his goodbyes, and I was like, really? Sad. And I didn't know it was that serious. She goes, well, we didn't think it was serious. And then it took a turn for the worse. And so I went to the hospital and said my goodbyes to my friend David. And he lost all of his hair. And it was so sad to see him go through all that. And then within a couple of weeks, he was gone. And I went to his funeral. And I was like, this is horrible. So that was the last, cool hangout I had with him, because we, got so much candy. And I was about ready to call it quits. And he's like, Fears, we're trick-or-treating until midnight. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be tired, but all right. And we literally, I had 4 pillowcases filled with candy, Brian. We just came back to my house, and I said, let's just dump all the candy. I said, David, you put your pile on one side of the bed, and I dumped mine on the other side of the bed. And he goes, let's go back out. I said, okay. So we went back out, got a second haul, then a third haul, then a fourth haul. So that would be definitely number 4. Cool. And then number 5, I'm trying to think, because we all know Fears' memory. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. I was really impressed. I made my own version of the Universal Monster, the Mummy. I did my version of it.
Oh, that's really cool.
So I begged my mom to get me red contacts. Mm-hmm. And I said, I know he doesn't have red glowing eyes, but I just want him to have red glowing eyes. And my mom was like, okay. So I got red glowing eyes. And then I said, Mom, I need white wrappings. But at first I wanted to do it all in toilet paper.
Yeah, of course. That's the easy option.
But then I was like, it's going to rip by the end of the night. So my mom's like, no, John. She goes, I got a better idea. She goes, do you mind if I help you with this? I said, no, Mom. She goes, we should go to Goodwill. And she goes, I'll buy 7 to 10 bed sheets that are pure white, and I'll cut them in long white strips. And she goes, I'll just wrap it, and then I'll tie it, and then we'll do another wrap. We'll tie it. So I had tons of knots everywhere, all over my body, because
added to it. That's really cool.
But it added to it, and then my mom's like, we should paint your entire hands like a kind of a light brown, because like mummies, they would decay, yeah. and they'd go in that brownish kind of rotting color. And so she said, I'm going to paint your face to make it look all old. So my mom painted like deep cracks and crevices in my face, and it was all light brown. And then she painted my hands light brown. And I told her, I said, I want to look like I'm rotting, Mom. There's nothing left. So my mom's like, so you want to do your version of the Universal Monster? I said, yeah. I said, I know it's not going to look exactly like the Mummy, but I said, I want to do my version. I want to get really
cool. That's like what Halloween costumes.
So I had red, literally they were big red contacts. They looked so weird. I'll have to find a photo of this, Brian.
Yeah, find the photos of all of them. I want to see it.
So big. There was only a little bit of white on my eyeball, and then most of it was red. So all my friends were like, John, how'd you do that with your eyes? I'm like, I begged my mom to get red contacts, and I already wear glasses, so that was a little expensive. We had to go to my eye doctors, and my mom's like, can we just have you guys make some red ones? And I don't know how my mom did it, but she got them from my eye doctor.
Nice.
Threw them in, and then my mom's like, well, if you want to look like you're rotting, John, she goes, let's look at pictures of zombies. So the internet was not around back then, so we went to Halloween stores. My mom looked at every Dracula, every mummy costume, and every zombie costume, and they said they all have a brown kind of decaying look with wrinkles all over. She goes, so I'll draw the wrinkles on you, and I'll paint your face brown. And I said, well, you got to match my hands then, Mom. And then because I love Chucks so much, I said, I'm going to wear my black Chucks. And my mom's like, well, you should put the white wrapping around it. I said, nope. I said, I got to wear my black Chucks. My mom's like, mummies don't wear black Chucks, John. I said, I don't care. I said, my version does, Mom. Yeah. She went, that's cool, because I wasn't going to walk around in my bare feet, So basically the whole costume was black Chucks, and then I wore a black T-shirt with black pants, and then we just put the white wrapping around it. And I had white wrapping of the bed sheets all over me, all around my face, on the back, all of my arms, and then my mom just kind of tied knots and put the whole straps together, and then I had my face painted with the red contact. So I'd say those 5 are
that's great.
Are like my all-time favorite. I mean, there's others. Like one year I was Captain America and Spider-Man, and then I did do an Inspector Gadget one year. I went and got it sucks. They didn't have any real fedoras back then, or I couldn't find one. So I got a plastic one from a toy store, and then I got a brown trench coat, and it was like 3XL. And I said, well, it needs to be big because all that machine stuff pops out of his trench coat whenever he wants.
Yeah.
And then I wore the brown pants, and then he wore gray Chuck Taylors, didn't he?
I think so. Or
like gray Chucks on. And so I said, well, I've got some gray Chucks, so I'll just wear those. And people loved it. So yeah. I'm gonna get back to the comments real quick. Larry says, Brian is a super fan. Look out, Vision. That's not true. Brian's my friend, and Visions is my friend. Come on, Larry. Vision says, LOL. Larry says, get Brian on the Discord. I mean, if he wants to be on LC's Discord, I'll ask him. And then Vision says, Fears as the Wicked Warlock is gonna rock.
That I agree with.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to do it, Brian, I should go all out and just paint my face green.
Yeah, you should.
So, I mean, I'll do it, And then, excuse Fears, Brian is cool, but obviously, well, I never said he wasn't gay. I never said he wasn't. The only reason why I think Larry said it was I was like, well, I don't know if Brian wants me to tell everybody that he's gay, but I'm like, if it comes up, I said, if it comes up, then I'll be like, it comes up. But
of course I don't care.
But I was like, Larry, I'm not going to out the guy, But I have including you, Brian. I have you, my friend Kristen. I've told you about Kristen, and her wife is like super hot, but now she got divorced. So
you don't have to list your gay friends. It's totally fine.
But I've got like 5 or 6 friends, So, I was like, I'm not going to out Brian unless he wants me to, Larry. But Larry's kind of a goofy guy. Larry's a goofy guy, so he says a lot of like blunt statements, Brian. So I hope that didn't offend you.
No.
Okay, because I was like, well, unless he wants me to, I'm not going to say anything. But yeah. So I'm kind of embarrassed now.
No, we'll move on.
I don't want to. I was like, but again, it should. To answer Larry's questions, what did I say, Larry? I'm cool with everybody. Like the only time I'm not cool with someone is if they disrespect me or my friends or my family. But as long as you don't do those 3 things, I'm cool with everybody.
Yeah, we're good.
So,
we'll get back on track. Do you have another Wizard of Oz question?
The what?
Do you have another Wizard of Oz question?
No, this is the time where you can ask me some questions. Go for it.
Okay. When we, I guess, we do have to plan our Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah, we do have to plan it. Yeah.
But I guess I already asked you what I was going to ask you. What scene would you, as the Wicked Warlock?
I mean, those two, it shouldn't be just one scene. It should be that's how we should end it, and then that's where we should start it. That big scene. I mean, those 2 scenes put together, I think, it'd be like a 2 to 3 minute little short film.
We could even do the beginning part 2 when Wicked Witch shows up in like the cloud of smoke and
that would be kind of cool too, and then it will segue into because the one you're speaking of is at the very beginning, and it wouldn't matter about the middle stuff. It should start with me, because I know Randy or you could do an after effect of like a cloud of smoke poofing up, and then I would just step into frame. Because Randall just got an After Effect program because he uses some of those After Effects in Fears, man. And I'm like, Randy, I hope you and Brian know how to do that because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
sure.
You off in the cloud and fire and all that.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys could figure it out, and then that would be cool. We'd start it like that, and then immediately cut it to those last two scenes because that's the meat of the scene. That's the big chunk of it, you know.
I mean, I like the whole part where the slippers are under the house and they would appear on, I guess, me, right?
Yeah, we could add that in too. I mean, because that's a super iconic letter. She's like, "Where are your slippers? They're gone. What have you done with them? Give them to me. There they are, and there they'll stay." You know, and then she's like, "Give me back my slippers. I'm the only one that knows how to use them. They're no use to you. Give them back to me. Give them back." And then she's like, doesn't she say like something like, keep tight inside of them. Their magic must be very powerful.
He wouldn't want them so badly.
And then, you stay out of this, Glinda. And she's like, "Oh, rubbish. You don't have any power here. Be gone with you before someone drops a house on you too."
I love that line so much.
But the fans know, I may not have a good memory on some things, but I know my movie quotes.
Oh no, you word for word, you killed it.
Yeah. So, but Larry said that one time, and she's like, Larry was like, "Fears, like, I know, like, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, you know what I mean? And I've told them some things I'm really good at remembering, and I'm not going to lie about it. I'm like, some things I am really good at remembering, other times I'm not. Like, I'll give you, if someone gives me their cell phone, I'm like, do not write it on a piece of paper. I'll lose that piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I'll literally be like, here's my phone. Put your name in my phone. Put your number and put your email, just in case if I lose your number, I can write you an email and say, "Hey, man, I lost your number. Give me your number." So I'm not good at numbers, and sometimes I'm not good at remembering people's names. Like, I'll have to say it in my mind 1,000 times. I'll be like, his name is Corey. Corey. Like my friend Sean at work, I accidentally called him two names, and he was like, "Fears, my name is not Joe, and my name is not Brian." I accidentally called him Brian one time.
That's funny.
And he goes, "My name is Sean." I go, "Sean, I'm really sorry." I'm like, "I'm not good at names." And he's like, "Well, why didn't you just ask me?" And I said, "Well, because I get embarrassed sometimes." He's like, "That's not an embarrassment, Fears." He's like, you made a mistake. Just ask me.
Yeah, everybody does
So
it.
I work with Sean all the time. Like, he's either on the belt with me in the FedEx factory, or we're down in the pit loading the boxes, you know, near the trailer. So me and him were always bullshitting around talking about movies, and he's like, "Hey," and he's even gave me some suggestions on horror movies. And Visions, I kid you not, he said, "Look, Fears," he goes, "Visions has great suggestions." He goes, "But my suggestions are even better." And I looked at Sean, I'm like, "Sean, it's not a contest. Visions has great suggestions on movies, and so do you." But Visions, he was trying to make it out to be a big contest. I'm like, "Sean, you're both my friends. Just write the suggestions down, and I'll get to them, and I'll watch them, and I'll review them as quickly as I can." But he was trying to make it out of a big thing, but I had to say Sean's name probably 50 times before I got it in my head. I'm like, Sean. And eventually I got it. And then Sean made a joke. He came into work and he goes, hey, Fears. He goes, "For 3 weeks, you've got my name right, and you didn't call me Joe." And I'm like, "Yeah, ha, very funny." And he said, "No," he's like, "Man," he's like, "maybe just one day I'll come in and I'll act like Joe." And I was like, "Well, there is no Joe." So yeah, but it was funny. So yeah, the next year, David's costume was a ghost. That's true. I mean, I like that joke.
Dark but true.
It's dark but true. But I love Vision's dark humor. But it's really sad. I mean, he passed away. I can't remember what. It's been a long time, and I kind of blocked it out of my memory. I think he got leukemia, or he got some type of cancer. It was horrible to.
It's so sad.
It was horrible to see one of my good friends like wither away. But I know you're joking around, Visions, but I mean, it was so hard. I was young, and his mom kind of like grabbed my arm and said, "Well, listen, David's not going to get any better. You may want to go in the room and like share some stories and say your final goodbyes." And they said they don't give him long. And I was like, damn. Kind of the same way how I had to do with my dad. My dad said, "I'm going to have each person come in the room individually and have a long conversation." So my brother had a long conversation. I don't know what my dad talked to my brother. I've asked my brother, and he said, "I'd rather I just keep it private." My brother doesn't know. My brother doesn't know what me and my dad talked about. I've told the fans a little bit of what me and my dad talked about.
That's
and
tough.
It is. And then he spent the most time, obviously, with my mom because they had a relationship and they loved each other to death. But I remember one of the coolest things my dad said. He goes, "I'll be real mad, John, if you give up on your," he goes, "don't give up on your passions. Don't give up on your dreams." He goes, "No matter what those idiots online say, don't stop making your videos. And I said, oh, I won't, Dad. He goes, I'm dead serious. He goes, don't give up on your short films and your YouTube and whatever social media you do, because he didn't know all the names of all the social medias. And mainly I put my content on TikTok and on my YouTube. Every once in a while I'll put a video up. You've seen them, Brian. I'll put a video up every once in a while on my Instagram, but mainly it's YouTube and TikTok. And I thought that was so cool, my dad, to say that.
That's great. That's a great message.
So, yeah. But anyway.
I am running a little low on time. I'd hate to say it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna read the rest of the chat, and then I guess I've got 3 more questions, and then we'll do the wrap up, because I know I didn't know how much time you had to. You have to go out or back to work or something?
Yeah, back to work.
All right. Well, I'm gonna read the rest of the chat, and then we'll do the summary. So, Vision says, now list all your black friends.
I saw that pop in. It made me laugh.
I'm telling you, Visions makes me laugh. He's got a wicked sense of humor. Larry says, it's cool. Obviously, Brian doesn't care. Yeah, I know he doesn't care. I just didn't want to out him, Larry. I was like, I'll let Brian say it if he wants to.
Totally fine.
And then said, does Brian make content on YouTube? Visions asks.
I used to just like do stupid music videos with my friends. I haven't in a long time, but I just.
The fact you post, I am subscribed because like right after we met, you're like, Fears, I want to subscribe to your channel. You instantly subscribed to within a couple weeks, right? You subscribed to my channel. Yeah. And then I said, Brian, do you have a channel? He goes, yeah, I have a channel, Fears, but really I don't make any content anymore, and I'm just going to subscribe with my old channel to watch you.
Right.
And I went, okay, but you post a lot of pictures, more than me on Instagram, buddy.
Oh, yeah. That's my main platform.
I mean, you're on a vacation every couple of weeks with your family, your friends.
What I do.
I was like, dude, you got to come down. We got to do a Disney vlog. I know we've got that hangout planned. And you're like, would you want to do that, Fears? I'm like, yeah. Let me know. Whenever you want to come down, we'll do a Disney vlog. And then, let's see. Maybe 2 of a more of a joke. That's all right, Visions. You know, I know you were kidding around. Let's see. Brian, hope my comments didn't come across as rude. Honesty, not trying. No, it's cool. Larry says, great guest, Fears. Well, I knew Brian would be a blast, you know, so Brian, we'll definitely have you on again. And I didn't get to all of my, because I wanted to go for 2 hours. Well, we did go for 2 hours. I wanted to go for like almost 3, but part 2 will happen soon.
All right.
We'll do a part 2. All right, so I end every interview. I ask Steph these last questions. So have you ever seen Inside the Actor's Studio at the end? At the end where they do all the last follow-up questions? I love how James Lipton does that, and every single guest I've kind of copied him. So we're going to do the last follow-up question. So what's your favorite noise or sound in the world?
Ooh, oh, that's such a good one. Maybe like I guess waves. I'm obsessed with the beach, so the sound of waves is probably.
Sound of a wave?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with that.
Mine is either whenever I crack my neck, I love that
I do too.
Popping sound, or I love the sound of like the Ghostbuster theme song.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a slippery slope because I could say like a bunch of
favorite sounds. Those are my 2 favorite sounds. I mean, or any sound relating to the Beach Boys. All right. So what's your least favorite sound in the world?
I hate a wind chime. Those really kind of drive nails into my head. I don't know what happened, but I really don't like it. And a loud, really loud cars.
Okay.
The ones that are intentionally obnoxiously loud kill me. It's like, oof.
What drives me absolutely nuts, it happened in college and it happens in my neighborhood. You're sleeping, you're in a nice little slumber, and then those workers at like 6 in the and all the noise of them trimming hedges, cutting grass, and I'm like, I know you're trying to make a living, but for fuck's sake, shut up and let me get some sleep, for Christ's sake.
Kills me.
But then I hate when I'm like that because I'm like, well, that's their job. But can't they do that job at like 3 in the afternoon? I understand why they do it early, because they want to get it done because it's going to be hot out there. You know, so they want to get it done early in the morning when it's nice and cool. But I still hate that trimming. It is so noisy. All right, next one. What's your favorite word?
You go first. I will have mine shortly.
Mine's a made-up word. I made it up when I was a kid, and I still love it. I mean, it gives me so much pleasure. they never have a name for the Ghostbuster containment unit. It's just the containment unit. So me and my friends were at school and we were just throwing around ideas. And I said, I've got it. And my friend's like, well, what is it, John? And I called it the Ecto Project Energy Field Containment System. That's my favorite word because I made it up. So Ecto Project Energy Field Containment System.
That's a good one.
So that's my.
I actually have mine.
Okay.
Appropriately, it's Wicked because here in New England, actually, I guess it might just be a Boston thing. Well, I'm in LA now, but in Boston, instead of very, people say wicked good or wicked cool, wicked fun.
So that's your favorite word.
It is, and I think it's appropriate because of the way
yes,
it was.
It is.
It makes so much sense.
The next one is, what's your least favorite word? I've got mine. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I've got two. I hate when people say no because I'm like, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. So never say no.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. And then I love the word energy because I've got a lot of energy. And even though I have a lot of ADD, I take that energy and I put it into good things.
Yeah.
I put it into my work, my passions, my dreams, all that. So I take a negative and turn it into a positive. So those are my two favorite.
Well, what about your least favorite? Your least favorite is no.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My favorite word is energy. My least favorite is no.
Gotcha. A least favorite word. I feel like not one immediately comes to mind.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it.
Vision says Brian seems like a good dude, great guest. Oh, he is. He's a great friend, just like you, Visions. He's a great guy, good friend. Good. I mean, you and Visions, you're both a friend and a fan because you said, "Oh, Fierce, I'm a fan of your content," and I was like, "Oh, thanks, buddy." And then Vision said he hates it when babies cry. Yeah, because they get so sad and stuff.
That's biologically supposed to bother you. So
yeah,
evolutionary, a baby crying is supposed to make you.
Yeah, because you don't want a baby to be sad. You want it to be happy,
Or they need something from you. It's their only way of telling you they need something.
If they're hungry or they're tired or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we'll go to the next one. I'll come back to your least favorite words. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
Dancer. It's actually like a big lifelong dream of mine. I like hip hop.
Like ballet dancing? What type of dancing?
No, hip hop specifically. I want to be a backup dancer for like a pop artist or something like that.
Okay.
I've been taking hip hop classes like my whole life. Pretty good at it.
Mine, I would love to be either a film editor or I would take a shot at like writing, any type of writer, like creative writing, like writing for television or writing a novel, any type of writer. Even though I'm not really good at writing, I'd love to give a stab at it.
In this world where you're living your dream job, you would be a good writer.
yeah, because I've dabbled. Like I've been writing a book. Remember I told you about The Lonely Ghost? Yeah, that short film I made. I wanted to make it as a novel, and then I'd love to turn it into a movie someday. Nice. So I've been writing. I'll write a chapter here and there, and then I'll put it away on the shelf for a couple months, and then I'll get an idea and I'll bring it back, No. So that's the one I would do. And then the next question is what profession would you absolutely never like to attempt ever?
Construction of any kind.
Okay. It creeps me out. I don't like to talk about death. Anything that revolves with working in a funeral parlor.
Oh, yeah.
Like a funeral director, a funeral host, a mortician.
Yeah, mortician.
Because they do make so much money, and my friend used to do it in college. He would go to film school and said, "Well, John, there's only one reason why I work at the funeral parlor." And I said, "What is it? Tell me." I said, "Because that seems too creepy." He goes, "They make an ungodly amount of money because no one wants that job."
You have to, yeah.
And I said, "Well, how much money do you make?" He goes, "I make like $30 an hour." And I was like, "Oh man." I'm like, that is a lot. And I said, but
is it worth it though? It's a lot.
I said, is it worth it? He goes, to me, it's worth it, John. I said, there would be no amount of money that I said, I wouldn't mind going into a funeral parlor because I've been in a few for my family, they do the service there. I don't mind going to people's funerals because I love those people, but I would never want to work because you're surrounded by death every single day. Yeah, and life is about, your family. Yeah, life is about living, friends, family, passion. I like to be as positive as possible.
Totally,
And I feel bad for those people. They're surrounded by death every day, and they have to comfort every single family. Because I asked my friend, I said, how many services do you do today? He goes, sometimes it's 2 or 3 services a day. He goes, but we usually do at least 1 service a day. And I was like, I couldn't do it, buddy. I couldn't do it. So there's that. All right, go back to your least favorite word. You got one?
I don't know why I'm having trouble even figuring out. I like your idea of like no, like you don't necessarily dislike the word, but you like what that represents. I guess I would say like something like negative, similar to yours. It's not that I don't like the word negative. I can't stand when people are negative. Okay. I get like talking shit or whatever, that can be fun.
Yeah, that's different when your friends are teasing you, but when someone's being like evil on purpose and they're like, I'm determined to make his life a living hell, and I'm going to hurt his feelings no matter what it takes.
Yeah, that kills me. I'd say that's my least favorite.
Okay. All right. Next, what's your favorite curse word?
Fuck. It's just the best.
I'm going to do an old classic Fears. I've got 2. I love fuck, and then my other one is you son of a bitch.
Yeah, that one's good.
Not like, it's like you son of a bitch. Like
it's got like an old-timey vibe to it that I really like.
I put that so many times in Fears, man. And me and Randall put that in Cameo, man. Like one time, like we did a PSA about smoking, and like you see Cody, Cameo Man's sidekick, smoking, and then like Cameo Man's like, Cody, what are you doing, you son of a bitch? Like you're not supposed to be smoking. And then he has like big googly eyes. Randall gave him googly eyes, and I'm like, yeah, man, smoking's cool. All right, you know. And I said, Randall, call me a bitch in the fucking short film. And he's like, why? I'm like, because it's great. I'm like, I love son of a bitch. All right, and the last one, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did a good job being a positive man. That's like what my whole MO. That's what I just want to inspire some sort of positivity in people and be like morale man. So I would like to hear that I did a good job keeping morale up, because that's all.
That's awesome, buddy. That would be a good thing for God to say to you. I've got 2. My go-to answer would be like, I'm such an inquisitive person, and I'm always asking questions, learning stuff. So, but when I was young, I got into so much trouble. So I would like to hear one of 2 things from God. God looks at me and goes, boy, do we have a lot to talk about, Fears. Like, that would be funny if he said that. Or because my dad recently passed away, he would be like, John, the booze is over there, and your dad and your grandpa are over there.
That's cute.
I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that. It's very nice.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Brian. Put in the chat if you want Brian back. I don't care if they don't put a 1. Brian will be back for Wizard of Oz interview part dosage.
Nice. We got more. I think we got more to talk about there.
Definitely. I mean, I had about 50 questions, and I got through maybe 20 of them. So I'll save those questions for next time, Brian.
Sounds good.
So yeah. So if you guys want to follow Brian, check him out on Instagram. Brian's a good friend of mine. So Brian, have you got anything else that you want to promote?
I don't promote much. Just everything that I would want to talk about is all on Instagram. So
okay, cool. Well, look him up on Instagram, and we're gonna take off. But anyway, this is Brian, and this is Fears, and thanks a lot for all you guys' comments and views and everything. And we will see you guys later. Peace out.
Thanks for having me.